making me over to Lowry Hill Tunnel. Northbound 35E, watching some slowing. Quick, Victoria is 94. Crosstown westbound, that's heavy 35W heading up toward Highway 100. Jerry Peterson, New Talk 830 WCCO.
Looking for senior living options? Jordana here. I invite you to check out award-winning New Perspective Senior Living with 10 communities in the Twin Cities Metro. They offer you a friendlier approach to senior living. Call 888-229-2298, 888-229-2298.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Breezy today, straight up windy tomorrow. We'll keep a partly cloudy sky, fall back to 37 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. I think we hit 47 early in the afternoon. Then the temperatures are going to tumble. A cold front comes through. The wind shifts coming from the northwest, 15 to 25. It could gust up to 50 miles per hour at times. That's why there's a wind advisory in play. Wind dies down on Saturday. Temperatures go down as well. Sunny with a high of 32.
Mostly sunny right now, and it is on the breezy side. Those winds gusting up to 28 miles per hour, 49 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Real stories, real events, real life. Happening in real time. News Talk 830 WCCO. Buckle up. Time for the ride home and the chance to get caught up on the day news. Plus, whatever else he wants to riff on. This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Here's the star of the show and your host, Jason DeRusha.
Are you ready? All right.
Now live on your radio and streaming to the world at WCCORadio.com and the Odyssey app. Here's Jason DeRusha.
All right, we got to start with the actual day of St. Patrick's Day. Is the parade on Tuesday? I think our texters are saying St. Patrick's Day is on Monday, which it is. It's got to be on Monday. It's fine. You know what? If you miss it, if you show up on Tuesday, Laura and I will be there. We'll lead the parade for you. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRusha. It's Jason. Dan is here. We're glad to have you with us. And we start our first hour with me inviting America's corporations and schools and, frankly, all of us. When it comes to diversity, it is time to grow a pair. I am astonished. Really, I am astonished at the cowardice we are seeing up and down our state, around our country, when it comes to the value of having a diverse workforce. And frankly, the acknowledgement that doing something to help women doesn't necessarily mean you're screwing men. And doing something to lift up people who are Black and Latino and other racial and ethnic minorities, that it doesn't mean that the white man is getting a raw deal. So many stories in the news today just setting me off on this. And look, I'm someone who has felt that the rhetoric around diversity has gone in some ways into Quotaville, where what you're seeing is, oh, well, I got to hire this percentage of people who check some diversity box, whether it's being a veteran, whether it's being disabled, whether it's being a Black or Latino or being a woman. And I do think in the year 2025, that sort of system is outdated and frankly ineffective. If you're just trying to fill a quota, you're not really doing anything good for your business or for your school or whatever. But I feel like we've gone from, all right, we don't want people to be solely focused on it, to we don't want people to make a big deal out of their doing it, to we're going to pretend that everything is okay and that we don't need any of this stuff anymore. I welcome you into the conversation at 651-461-9226. Target has been at the center of this controversy, where they are one of the companies, and they're the center here because they're up the street, because we look at Target as more than just a company, because so many of our friends and neighbors work there. We think of it as ours. And so when they said, we're rolling back DEI without really explaining what they're talking about, is this a public-facing thing? We're going to stop yapping about it? Does this mean we're really not going to do it? The cowardice on this issue, frankly, is disappointing and disgusting. I'm a middle-aged white man. I am secure enough to acknowledge that any conversation that I have about a job, I start with a little bit of a head start. That's all. It's not saying I don't deserve the jobs that I've gotten. It's just acknowledging, like, look, it's a little easier in life to be a white guy than it is to be a white woman or to be a black woman or to be you name it. Why is this so hard for people? Why do you feel like you're being screwed by this? Today, the Red Wing schools canceled a Black History Month event where they invited Attorney General Keith Ellison. Is the Attorney General of Minnesota. You should never have to apologize to any activist for inviting the Attorney General of Minnesota to talk to kids. I mean, is this really that difficult? The superintendent, according to the Minneapolis Minnesota Star Tribune, announced that they were canceling this in a letter to parents and faculty. The concern was over significant disruptions. I mean, grow a pair. Red Wing schools, are you so cowardly that you're worried about disruptions from inviting the Attorney General? What disruptions? What are you worried about? You're worried about some racist whining about having a Black History Month event? You're worried about someone saying, well, where's White History Month? Really? Look, I have been one saying, like, we don't need posters up in every hall proclaiming every little wonderful sort of holier than thou thing that we espouse. Like, let's have schools focusing on teaching and try to get the politics out of there. So I'm not some sort of crazy lefty on here saying that we've gone too far. I'm someone who actually values different viewpoints and seeks out different viewpoints. I would like a broader definition of diversity. I think people from different religions should be a part of your organization. I think people of different ethnicities, different economic backgrounds, different geographical upbringings. I think all of those things make our world richer. But you're kidding yourself if you think like, oh, it's outrageous to have the Attorney General come talk about Black History Month. And then in St. Paul, this absolute kind of, well, to me, this guy's a loon. There is a guy who has spent, this is his life's mission, to file lawsuits whenever he thinks there's something that's discriminating against white people or men. What a heroic effort, right? Wow. It's so tough to be, I mean, come on. Pioneer Press reporting that a St. Paul Public Schools field trip that was organized by a Minneapolis nonprofit called the Brand Lab is a field trip for students of color. And so this guy files a federal civil rights complaint alleging racial discrimination against students who are not of color. So St. Paul Public Schools, who I also would invite in this scenario to grow a pair, canceled the field trip. So they didn't have to go through the Title IX investigation, the whole civil rights investigation. The Brand Lab, look, if you look around in Minneapolis, the advertising community is has a greater percentage of white people in it than is in our population. And so this organization's goal is to like try to get more people interested, people of color interested in going into advertising. Just trying to represent the world you live in. That's all. Is that a sin today? Are you against that today? Are you happy with this war on diversity? Or are you with me where you think, like, it's gone way too far? It's gone way too far. 651-461-9226. Some text coming in already. We'll take your texts. We'll take your calls. Streaming live on YouTube. We'd love for you to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. There's Dan waving to everybody. You can see what the show looks like. Or if you're just someone who consumes your information on YouTube, podcasts, and the like, we're there for you. Just go to the WCCO Radio YouTube page and click subscribe.
Touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Although Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra never shared the stage, their musical legacies come together in Barbra and Frank, the concert that never was. Starring Sharon Owens and Sebastian Anzaldo. This can't-miss tribute features sensational performances of the powerhouse vocalist's biggest hits, captivating duets, and witty banter. See what could have been become reality at Treasure Island Resort and Casino on Friday, February 28th. Get your tickets at ticasino.com.
Hey, Twins fans, it's time for spring training in Fort Myers. Cheer on your favorite team at Hammond Stadium within the Lee Health Sports Complex. Then explore the islands, beaches, and neighborhoods of Fort Myers between games. Sink your toes into white sand, discover lush nature preserves filled with wildlife, and dine on fresh Gulf seafood. Turning your love of baseball into a relaxing vacation just feels right. Start planning at visitfortmyers.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS or go online at carsforkids.org to donate today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this important announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
Jason DeRusha is back on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Schools canceling field trips.
I'll take you dancing in a
Target, the subject of protests. They have seen a negative reaction. Hard to tell based on foot traffic to the stores, which has been significantly down since Target said it was winding down a lot of their DEI sort of record-keeping initiatives. Boy, they botched that announcement, didn't they? Where you sort of are wondering, like, are they still going to make a concerted effort to bring in brands that are owned by people of color and women, or are they just done sort of reporting what they're doing? 651-461-9226. I think people need to grow a pair and companies need to grow a pair and not be so afraid of the lawsuit, of the negative publicity. The logical reaction to the way we've seen companies respond here is that all of everything they said after the murder of George Floyd was full of crap, that they didn't believe any of it, that it was all just a facade to kind of appease what the public sentiment was at the time. Which, man, like, I don't expect the best out of at least the public positioning of America's companies, but how disappointing is that if the whole thing was just like, well, I guess we're going to do this now. Close friend who is a job counselor, says one texter, has been told he will no longer be able to assist young adults with Down syndrome to find jobs because that's covered under the inclusion in DEI, and now is against federal policy. Another texter, when I was in school, Attorney General Skip Humphrey came to our school. It was really cool. You were right. Red Wing needs to grow a pair. Now, another texter says maybe the majority of the people in the Red Wing school weren't interested in having him visit. It's their school, isn't it their choice? So let me talk about that a little bit. There is an intolerance of opposing viewpoints in our country that is going to lead us into a very bad spot. Some of it is a lack of curiosity. Some of it is an absolute insecurity in having your own beliefs challenged. Some of it's laziness. It's a lot easier to play the hits than it is to open your mind to new thoughts. The intolerance that we used to see in colleges towards people with conservative viewpoints, pendulum swung. Now we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing an intolerance to people with liberal viewpoints. At least that's what we're seeing right now under the veil of like, well, we can't push diversity. Quotas would be more transparent, says one texter. Lucky you, Jason. In my life, friends have been passed over for black candidates. Would save them time and effort if employers would have been honest. Hey, we're only hiring black people this time. So let me talk about that. I have been passed over by people of color for jobs. And I've had, I worked in television news. And maybe that's where some of my views on this issue come into play. Because I think in television, there's value to your audience. And I believe that every person out there watching TV should be able to see someone that looks like them and think like I could be that person. I also think that most jobs don't have one clear superior candidate. And while the couple of times I got passed over was for people of different racial minorities, I don't know, was I the best candidate? Were they the best candidate? Is there any such thing as the best candidate? Usually there's like a bunch of people who would be like, yeah, they'd all be pretty good. And look, most of the hiring managers are white guys. And so who do they hire? Maybe they hire a former intern. Maybe they hire someone they know. Maybe they hire their golfing friend's kid. So the idea of introducing some diversity goals was to say like, yeah, let's try to break down the like old boys club. I guess we think it's been solved just because a couple people got passed over. Think of the people of color who've been getting passed over for 100 years. I don't know. I know it's hard when you on an individual basis, you get passed over. It is unfair to you. And it is. But is this what we want? Is this where we think it's better? I don't know. Let's go to James in Plymouth on the CCO Talk and Text line. James, thanks for calling in. Go ahead.
You bet, DeRusha. How you doing?
I'm good.
So you're the topic you're on. Okay, so we all noticed years ago or just whatever, they got rid of Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima and all this stuff because it wasn't correct.
Right.
Then they replaced it with Ghetto Gastro. I seen it on an end cap at Target. It was ghetto gastro. I mean, what's the deal?
Which is ghetto gastro is like this is like a New York group of chefs. Is that what it is? It's like a book or something, right?
No,
they have some products. Like food products and toast. Oh, I see. It's like a cider. Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Like the fact that we got rid of some things that seemed that felt politically incorrect and out of step with the times. And there is this idea. I don't like that either, right? Like I don't like the idea of saying like, oh, let's now name things ghetto or let's bring back the N-word and like we can because it's our people. Like I don't dig that either. But I also, what do you think in terms of these efforts to kind of act like maybe everything's equal and we don't need to have any specific efforts to have diversity?
It's not equal, and it never ever has been.
Right.
But the more we just shove it under the rug, and we don't need to talk about it every day. I think it's just about respecting one another a little bit. That's all.
No, I feel that. Like, thank you, and I appreciate that call, James. Like, I think part of the rebellion against this is straight up racism. Like, let's just call it what it is. The people who are racist are feeling like it's go time for them. They've won the lottery. They can say whatever they want, and they can hide under the veil of like, well, I just am interested in equality for everyone, and I want okay. What I want is equal opportunity for everyone. What I don't want is equal outcomes guaranteed for everyone. I believe that's where the DEI effort failed, that it became easier to guarantee a certain kind of percentage of outcome because it's hard to guarantee equal opportunity. And I am concerned that in this effort to say like, oh, diversity's out. It's out. It's a swear word. We can't talk about it. We can't do it. We got to get rid of all this stuff. Trump doesn't like it. Oh, here come the lawsuits. And you get this incredible cowardice where you say like, look, we don't need to use all the words. We don't need to do all of this stuff. We don't need to talk about it all the time. But don't kid yourselves. We have not solved equal opportunity. Jeff is in Sauk Rapids. Jeff, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Jason, this really doesn't surprise you, does it?
I am surprised with how quickly it's happened.
Well, it could be. I'm going to invoke Occam's razor here, which I'm sure you know dictates that the simplest answer is usually the correct solution.
Right.
This country elected Donald Trump. Who did that? You're looking at it right now. You're talking about it right now. You're talking about them on the radio. They are a majority of the country, and somehow they seem to have found a way of being comfortable to come crawling out from under the rocks. And here we have it. I don't have a solution. I don't know what to do about it, but it ain't good. It ain't good, Jason.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. That's sort of how I feel too, like this sort of sadness about it, but I think it's worth talking about. I do think there's this idea that the best qualified, and the texter says two wrongs don't make a right. Best qualified should get the job. Toss DEI. It just creates resentment. And I'm fine with saying like, look, the way that DEI became sort of like canon for some operations, I think diversity should be infused into every part of your organization. You should have people in the room who are able to challenge your thinking and bring up things that, especially if you're a consumer-facing company, right? Where like you need different perspectives to know how things are going to work in the marketplace. Best qualified should get the job is just, in my view, an absolute BS statement. Who is the best qualified? How often in a pool of candidates is there one person where you're like, that's the person? A lot of times you got 3 or 4 people, you're like, I don't know. Now, I do think the quota system led to people who are not qualifying getting hired because you had to click a box and you had to hit a goal. Because you know what else is hard? It's hard to adjust the educational system and the opportunities at the front end to make sure you kind of help people along the way. So I don't know, man. We're in a bad place. And seeing every school and company buckle makes me nervous. people need to stand up and say, look, I get why there's such resentment towards DEI. But I also value having people from different perspectives and different ages. A texter brought up age discrimination. Do we think that's solved now? Couldn't part of your equity and inclusion efforts involve hiring more people who are over 60? I mean, just the way we were looking at this was maybe too narrow. But the idea of just throwing it all out and being like, finally, we can give the white man a break. Like, give me a break. 332. Why is soccer, volleyball on the way up and hockey in Minnesota on the way down? We'll talk about that when we come back on CCO.
Jason DeRusha returns shortly with more of Drive Time on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, if you are watching me on the live YouTube stream or on WCCO Radio's Facebook page or on my X account, you can see I'm wearing this like kind of nice jacket right now, a little tan colored jacket that I got at J.H. & Sons at the Galleria in Edina. It's Jason here for my partners, my friends at J.H. & Sons, and I absolutely love this group. Great experts in the field of menswear. Now, I don't know about you, but more and more people are coming back to work in person, and they need look. Work from home maybe means those sweatpants. You put on a nice pair of dress pants or a suit coat, you're like, whoa, don't know if I can get that buttoned up. Get over to J.H. & Sons at the Galleria. They will help you with the latest trends, the best fabric, and the expertise to make sure the clothes fit you in the most flattering way possible. These guys are experts. Bryce and Dean. Oh, Dean is like a legendary tailor. I post a picture of Dean on my Instagram, and everyone's like, Dean's the best tailor in the world. He's the best. He's my favorite. And he is the best. Go get taken care of. Experience a new level of service. Experience the menswear that you deserve. Visit my friends at J.H. & Sons. You can sign up for their email list, too, at jhandsons.com.
CCO's the one making big noise, watching all the streets gonna get you there on time today. The news that you need via all our feeds, updates and reports on the air and our stream.
Singing, we will inform you. We will inform you.
The latest and most relevant information that'll rock your world. News Talk 830 WCCO.
Celebrating 30 years of Minnesota-made furniture, delivered direct to you. That's furniture from By the Yard. Explore the largest ever release of new products, fresh wood grain colors, and timeless favorites in the latest collection of maintenance-free outdoor furniture, built to last, backed by a 35-year warranty. Request your catalog today. Start planning your perfect outdoor space before spring arrives. Visit ByTheYard.net or stop by the showrooms in Woodbury, Maple Grove, or Jordan to get yours. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
Many listeners have asked me what CBD products I use, and I am so happy to be able to share them with you on the radio. Jordana Green here. I really want to destigmatize CBD and reveal compelling health benefits that I've experienced. I use Mini-Leaf. Check out Minileaf.com, Mineleaf.com. I use these products. I would not recommend them to you if I didn't. Mark has used them. We have both experienced the benefits from the Triple Diamond Pain Cream. It's such relief. And also those sleep night gummies, the best night's sleep I have had in a while. No pharmaceuticals needed. Check out the true benefits of CBD. You can see they're 100% natural Mini-Leaf's products, and you can look at the studies on the website. Minileaf.com. Mineleaf. Tell them Jordana sent you.
Mini-Leaf means quality. Taste happy at Minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term. 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Comes down in Bloomington with a crash causing some problems for you. South 35W at 494 is where you'll find it. Look for the right lane to be shut down. Crews have also closed the ramp westbound 494 to southbound 35W. We'll keep an eye on that and let you know when things reopen. In the meantime, South 35W, pretty much a slow ride right out of Minneapolis into Bloomington. You're also going to find that ramp jam, South 35W West 494. So be prepared for that. And the crash on 494 westbound at Penn Avenue on the right shoulder. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Clogged gutters? Call the pros at Vantage Home Pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Seamless gutter installation, cleaning, and covers. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros at VantageHomePros.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Advantage Home Pros. Experience the advantage at AdvantageHomePros.com. Bringing us the forecast. It is windy right now. Here's Chris Schaefer.
It stays breezy tonight, partly cloudy down to 37. Tomorrow, a wind advisory. Starts up at 9 in the morning, goes till 6 in the evening. It'll be mostly cloudy. I think we hit that high of 47 just after lunchtime. Cold front comes through and the temperatures drop like a rock. Northwest wind 15 to 25, could be gusting up to 50 miles per hour at times. Batten down the hatches. That wind will settle down on Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 32, back to the 40s on Sunday.
Right now in Minneapolis is 48 on CCO.
Jason DeRusha.
Someone says, this guy has no idea how cringe he is. And I would just like to say, I'm well aware. I am extremely cringe. I get it. I don't care.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, we're about 15 minutes away from talking about a city that has a beach for dogs. So I'm sure you can't wait to hear what I think about that. Noted dog lover. I will talk about it coming up. First, though, I have been absolutely captivated by this series that is in the Minnesota Star Tribune. Chip Scoggins talking about how cultural changes are reshaping high school sports all over Minnesota. We know right now that 20% of Minnesota children have at least one parent who is foreign born. And depending on where you live in the state, that could mean any number of things. Maybe you have, a Latino parent. In my neighborhood, I have a lot of Russian immigrants. You have Russian students here. You just have different people from different backgrounds. Now, in 25 years ago, in 2000, it was just 9% who had one parent who was foreign born. So part of how that changes is like, all right, what are the sports that people are going to want to play? And we're seeing effects already in schools consolidating hockey programs. That's something that has happened in the city of St. Paul. Soccer is on the rise. Kua Yang is the athletic director at St. Paul Como Park, and he is with us right now on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. Kua, we're so glad to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
All right, lay it on me. How have things changed for you at St. Paul Como High?
Well, we can start as early as the 80s when I first arrived. It was predominantly still, a heavily Caucasian population, and the, first wave of Southeast Asian immigrants came then.
You're from Laos, right?
I'm originally from Laos, but I came over here when I was 4 years old. Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
And so you can tell that story very effectively, I would think, to your parents who maybe wonder, like, is my kid going to be able to fit in playing sports, that sort of thing?
That's exactly it. Is that I think part of the article did not mention was the fact that there is a social component to it, right? We talk about the benefits of athletics and just getting involved in school, right? Besides just academics, but the social benefits, right? I've had like lifelong friends because of high school sports and college sports.
Is that something that maybe in other countries is not as? I mean, we take that as just sort of a given, right? Is that not part of other cultures?
No, I mean, it's not the same availability as far as athletics in other countries. Like if you're coming from an agrarian society, you're not going to be playing sports while you're farming, right? You're trying to make a living, trying to survive, and so a lot of these families are coming over and they're like, wow, you get to go to school and then you get to be in athletics. And they don't quite understand that. And so, but parents do understand this. They understand that social mobility relies on academic success. And so that's where they put all their, eggs in, right? But they don't understand also the benefits of athletics. And so the life lessons and the cliche things that we talk about, like, discipline, loyalty, work ethic, all those things, right? Those things are developed through athletics as well, something that, perhaps doesn't translate as well or diffuse as well in academics sometimes.
Corey Yang is with us from St. Paul, Como Park. So what sports are up and what sports are down in St. Paul in your high school?
Yeah, the obvious ones, obviously, soccer being the most popular sport in the world, right, is obviously up. We have, in a very small school, we're kind of middle of the road. We have about 1,000 students in our school, and we have over 70, 80, players for the boys and about 30 to 40 for the girls. So soccer is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Volleyball is emerging one, right? It's a new sport this year, but it's already hugely popular. So those are two kind of the fastest growing sports. I think girls wrestling is another one that is really growing, but that's not just in the immigrant population. It's just across Minnesota, period.
What are the hurdles there then? Because I had both my kids played soccer. My youngest played soccer all the way through high school, but he started young, and it's sort of expensive, right? I know you think it's like, it's some cleats and a ball, but like if you're going to play at the varsity level, like a lot of these kids you're playing against started when they were 5 and were part of these fancy, expensive travel clubs and all of that.
Oh yeah, I've often said this: if you have a good coach, right, and a school that's supportive, you can become very good. But to become great and to be at the state level, elite level, and then going on to play in college and beyond, it's a socioeconomic issue, right? Hockey is a perfect example of that, which is quite expensive. It's not very accessible. There's other sports that are the same way, and right now, with the advent of all these new organizations and clubs coming up and promising your kids to be in Division I or get a scholarship, they're popping up everywhere, and it becomes very expensive to become, involved in sports at a higher level. So yes, there are some sports that are accessible early on, but later on, as you become, more of an elite level, that's really tough if you don't have the means.
So what do you guys do about it?
Well, I mean, you can do the best you can. I mean, when I was coaching at Harding, I was the parent. I had 70, 80 players for the boys every single year, and I never cut anybody. And so my salary was meant for them to feed them. They didn't understand how to feed themselves as far as nutrition and whatnot. Their parents rarely would come to the sporting events because that was a sport that didn't understand. Badminton, yes, but not tennis. I was coaching tennis, and so those are kind of examples of like the hurdles that you see, and the challenges that you see with those kind of sports. Again, you can get them to be really good, and the school can get them the baseline things, right? But as far as like getting better, well, if you're just using tennis as an example, well, we're in the northern hemisphere of states. You need indoor access. You need some teaching pros that are going to give you some much better tips.
Cool. I sort of feel like that's okay, right? Like schools don't necessarily need to guarantee that kids are going to be an elite athlete, but I do think you need to guarantee like the chance that as our population changes, and you see, like in this article, it was very interesting talking about a lot of the cities in greater Minnesota, right, where the population is hugely changing, where you look at like the Worthingtons, which now is a 63% Hispanic or Latino population. Well, that's going to change what kids are going to want to play, right? You see the same in like Faribault and Wilmer and Austin, some of those cities, St. Cloud. And you mentioned boys volleyball. I didn't realize that volleyball was so popular with Asian boys, especially. So like you've noticed that from your kids, right?
Yes, I have. And to answer your initial part of your question is, it doesn't have to be at the elite level. I mean, high school sports is about experience, right? We talk about social components. We talk about the health benefits, the physical fitness of it. So it doesn't have to be. And the vast majority of kids won't play beyond that, but they will continue to play for fun and recreational as adults, and that's what we want, right? But those lessons are learned early on. Yes, as far as volleyball is concerned, it is a sport that is associated with the culture. And so like soccer, like many people growing up, played soccer growing up in all sorts of countries. And so that is tied to them. They're familiar with it, right? But if you throw in a sport like I mentioned in the article, hockey, like I can't even imagine playing, a sport like on skate. It's really tough.
Yeah.
So sports that are like new to them, they tend to not gravitate to them early on. They need to be introduced at an earlier age.
Kui Yang is with St. Paul Como Park High. St. Paul just announcing yesterday that they're going to have just one hockey team for the whole district, which, you only have, 2 kids from Como Park who are playing hockey right now?
Yeah, we have 3 that is part of a co-op over at Johnson. We've been a part of that co-op for a while, but
it's okay, right? I know it feels sad, but like the state changes. Like it's okay. Like we have different sports coming in. Like the important thing is just getting kids like engaged where they get it, like where they can come and play and have people and feel like they got a thing,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that what people don't see right now is that, especially when we were growing up, maybe several decades ago, there were less choices. And right now there's so many choices. We're talking about the decrease in sports participation. Well, we've got way more sport choices right now where they're spread across. And you can only get so many kids to so many sports. So there is that choice factor as well, right? A lot more choices right now.
Kui Yang, we appreciate you. You graduated from Como Park, didn't you?
Yep, proud to be a graduate of Como Park. I'm very happy to be back. It's a nice homecoming, and I'm glad to be giving back to the community and school that was so informative in my years, in my teenage years.
It was a little different at Como Park when you were a teenager than it is today, I bet, wasn't it?
A little bit different, but you know what, though? Kids are kids.
Yeah.
They need the same things. They need love. They need care. They need activities that keep them healthy, and they need structure, something that maybe we're lacking a little bit right now. But, all those things provide for a good structure for kids to grow up.
Really good. Appreciate your time today and the insight. Kui Yang, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We will break and talk about what Twin Cities suburb is debating whether or not they should keep a beach for dogs. Drive Time, back in a minute.
Drive Time with DeRusha is back after this on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's talk about skincare. I know, like skincare, often you think about like, is this about makeup or moisturizer or serum? I don't care about that stuff. It's Jason here for Terrene Dermatology. I don't really care about that stuff either. But I will tell you that as a guy, I never knew how good my skin could feel until I went to Terrene Dermatology. Dr. Mohiba Terrene is an absolutely incredible human being. And she asked me about my skincare routine. And I looked at her like she was speaking a foreign language. I'm like, sometimes I use that bar of soap. She's like, Jason. Terrene Dermatology helped me do simple stuff, sunscreen, moisturizer. That's all you need to get started. But then you can go on as you think about anti-aging. You think about getting rid of sunspots, and they can help you with all of that. They also have cosmetic treatments to help you take care of those spots that maybe it's always been bothering you. And you're like, I don't know, I'm fine. Go get it checked out. And then the medical side, my goodness, saving lives, literally saving lives by detecting skin cancer and melanoma early. Get that appointment. They will get you in within 3 weeks. They have 7 locations throughout the Twin Cities, including a new spot in Farmington. You can book online. So easy. Do it at Terrene, Tareen, dermatology.com.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you.
I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I'm Karen Heintz with Baird Private Wealth Management. At Baird, investing and financial planning are just part of the solution. Just as important is our personal commitment to your success. Meeting with you, answering your questions, working with your tax and legal advisors so you can see your complete financial picture come together. Focused on you, no matter what. That's how Baird's been doing business for more than 100 years. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdTwinCities.com.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at NewNordicUSA.com or CVS. That's NewNordicUSA.com.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as one business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start March 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Problems continue down in Bloomington with the crash working. South 35W at 494. Look at the right lane to be effective. And you're also going to find the ramp shut down. West 494 to southbound 35W. Traffic is pretty much jammed up as you come down from Diamond Lake Road. Crosstown westbound, watching the slowdowns there. Cedar heading out toward Highway 100. Eastbound crosstown, jammed up. Police and 235W. North 169, some slowing. Bren Road heading up to Excelsior Boulevard. Terry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Big wind tomorrow. Wind advisory during the day tomorrow, says Chris Schaefer. Tonight we get down to 37. Tomorrow that wind 15 to 25 miles an hour, but gusts up to 50. Yeesh. High of 47. Not going to be too much fun. Saturday, bottom falls out. Sort of. Get back to average, high of 32, but back to the 40s. On Sunday, maybe 50. On Monday, crazy. 48 and sunny on CCO.
Let's roll with more of Jason DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
At 5:30, we do a segment called Enough. And I want you to get in on it right now. What have you had enough of? This week, for me, I have been on a tear about people backing into parking spots and parking ramps. That would be a perfect type of enough. If you use the Odyssey app, there's a voice microphone. Send us a voice message. Go to the WCCO page, just click the microphone, send me a message. What grinds your gears? What have you had enough of? Fun, serious, ridiculous, all welcome. I've had enough of dogs acting like they own the joint. Look at what we have given the dogs over the years, Dan Cook. First, we let the dogs come hang out at restaurant patios. Then we let the dogs come inside at coffee shops.
Mm-hmm.
In one city, dogs get their own parade. A city that, mind you, I have never been the grand marshal of their human parade. Yeah. Now in one Twin Cities town, they have their own beach. It's a dog's life, says the Matt McKinney story in the Minnesota Star Tribune. White Bear Lake in 2007 set aside a stretch of Matoska Park, right along the shoreline there. And in this article, you see Gandalf and Millie and Gus just romping and splashing and having a jolly old time.
We can't have that kind of joy, can we?
The question isn't whether the dog park is popular, says the mayor. It clearly is. The question is whether the barking and the pooping and the unleashed dogs is what the neighbors want. Now, I will say, my bias is against dogs.
Clearly.
Dogs don't need their own beach. But in this case, the people who live across from White Bear Lake are so damn annoying that I actually am in favor of the dog beach.
There you go. Who do you want to side with? Who do you want to side with? God's favorite creature or the crazy lake people? Come on.
These lake people are so mad. Big mad about a dog taking a dump at a dog park. I think those dogs should take a dump right on the front yards of all of these complaining losers. Bunch of rich jerkwads on White Bear Lake. Screw you guys.
If only there was an easy guide to follow to sell your home for thousands of dollars more than you otherwise could. Oh, wait, there is. Hey, it's Vanita. You've been hearing me talk about my buddy, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Those home sellers forums that I've told you about that really work. Scott and Renee went to one and followed John's blueprint for success. There are 5 different marketing options for you to choose from, and all of them work. Scott and Renee really benefited from them. Their home sold for more than $10,000 over the asking price. Trusting the John Schuster Group was the right decision for them. He knows what he's doing. His team, they know what they're doing. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-253-6259. 800-253-6259. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-253-6259.
The station of record for the Twin Cities, Minnesota, and the Upper Midwest. News Talk 830, WCCO 1029 HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump hosted the British Prime Minister at the White House today to talk about peace in Ukraine.
I don't want to pay billions and billions and billions of dollars, nor does the Prime Minister or anybody else, on a senseless war that should have never happened. And we're going to get it taken care of. But I think it's going to be a peace that's going to be long-lasting.
European countries want some assurances the U.S. would back any peacekeeping mission.
I thought we had a very productive discussion. Obviously, as the president says, the deal has to come first. But yes, our teams are going to be talking about how we make sure that deal sticks, is lasting, and enforced.
President Trump isn't backing down on his threats to impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
All of Team Canada, premiers, business leaders, community leaders, are focused on one thing, making sure that come Tuesday and for the weeks that follow, there are no tariffs.
Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch on when Americans would feel the pinch.
If you're getting a new car and it's coming from Canada and it hasn't crossed the border yet, you're going to see the price increase. But if you're buying something that maybe there's already supply, there's already something on the lot, you're not going to see that. So it's really dependent on the supply and the industry of how quickly consumers will see that increase.
Fired workers at USAID were given 15 minutes to clear out their offices today. Crowds gathered outside to send them off. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns was there.
The workers that we have been talking to here today have said that, the focus really is on the work that they were doing, not necessarily that government workers are being laid off, but what the work that they were doing was and how that is affecting people all across the world.
The deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife are under investigation. Their bodies were found at their home outside Santa Fe, a door to the home open. The county sheriff.
It sounds like they had been deceased for a while, and I don't want to take a guess in reference to how long that was.
There are more safety concerns in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Reporter Dave Cohen has that.
With the celebration ramping up ahead of Fat Tuesday next week, crowds are growing here in New Orleans. Health officials, though, are urging people not to come to Mardi Gras if they and or their children have not been vaccinated for measles. U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana is also a doctor.
The measles outbreak is now moving across the I-10, and it's now in San Antonio, which means it's moving to us.
Mardi Gras was a super spreader event ahead of the COVID pandemic.
On Wall Street, the Dow finished the day 193 points lower. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
With Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly clear, breezy, 49 degrees at 4:03. I'm Laura Oakes. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry calling the city council's override of his veto to further explore a pedestrian mall at George Floyd Square a colossal waste of time and money. Fry says it completely ignores the community's wishes, will cost an extra $500,000 and delay progress at the square until mid-2026.
What this action does is it authors a legislative directives that says to our staff that they should continue to delay until at least December of this year to come forward with a plan as to how a pedestrian mall might move forward.
Council members who support the plan say it guarantees pedestrianization and prioritizes traffic calming, safety, and accessibility improvements. Meanwhile, Mayor Fry's thoughts and feelings on the city council spilling over onto social media today. In a post on X, he encourages residents to help elect city leaders who put progress above politics by attending their local DFL precinct caucus on April 8th. Governor Tim Walz announcing a plan to get health insurance providers to pay more for Minnesotans who buy their insurance through MNsure, the state's healthcare exchange. Commerce Commissioner Grace Arnold says it would shift the responsibility for the state's share of reinsurance to insurers rather than taxpayers.
So this is one of many steps that we've taken to make the healthcare system simpler, easier to access, and more affordable this legislative session.
She says under the plan, insurance companies will be required to create a fund that covers high-cost procedures like premature births or cancer treatments for people on the individual market. A school bus driver is behind bars after staff at a Cottage Grove high school suspected he was drunk and took his keys away. Police say it happened Wednesday afternoon as students were boarding the bus at Park High School. In a letter to parents, the principal says students were immediately removed from the bus before the 36-year-old Hastings man was arrested for DUI. As sweeping job cuts multiply through the federal government, the nation's largest federal employee union is fighting back. Ruark Hotop is vice president of District 8 with the American Federation of Government Employees, representing some 18,000 federal workers in Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. He says they are suing the administration over the right of workers who have been let go to challenge their employer in court.
What we've seen out of these termination letters is that they all cite that these employees are poor performers. However, their performance appraisals say otherwise. They're making something up so that they can try to justify the action and try to somehow make it legal.
There's been no timeline. There had been no timeline given during the original announcement back in November, but we now know Operations Chief Derek Falvey will take over as president of the Minnesota Twins on Monday. Falvey replaces Dave St. Peter, who has served in the role for 22 years and is moving into an advisory position. And Minneapolis's 19 bar is officially open again after closing a year ago due to a destructive fire. The bar closed after a garbage truck hit a power pole that landed on the building, starting a fire that ultimately deemed it a total loss. Luckily, nobody was hurt in that blaze. 19 Bar opened in the 1950s and is the oldest gay bar in Minnesota and one of the oldest still operating in the United States. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Of the crash does continue. South 35W 494. Look at the right lane to be affected. You're also going to find the ramp west 494 to southbound 35W closed at this point as they continue to clean up. Keep an eye on things where things are jammed up. South 35W coming down from Diamond Lake Road and west 494. Get ready for the slowdowns there past Portland. If you're traveling east 94, it's going to be a slow ride into downtown St. Paul and make your way past Dale, heading over to Highway 52. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Gutman Law, wills, trusts, and probate law at gutmanlaw.com. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Breezy today, straight up windy tomorrow. We'll keep a partly cloudy sky, fall back to 37 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. I think we hit 47 early in the afternoon. Then the temperatures are going to tumble. A cold front comes through. The wind shifts coming from the northwest, 15 to 25. It could gust up to 50 miles per hour at times. That's why there's a wind advisory in play. Wind dies down on Saturday. Temperatures go down as well. Sunny with a high of 32.
Mostly clear right now, 49 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Beyond the headlines, what it means, why it matters. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRusha.
All right, Drive Time with DeRusha, hour number 2 in effect. We are live on the air, live on your screen, live everywhere. As you can get us on WCCO-AM on HD radio, 102.9. Just hit the channel 2. That's how I usually listen when I'm in a car. You can listen on the Odyssey app, which is a great way that you can also, at any time, send us a message direct to the studio using the microphone icon right next to the Listen Live. You can send us a message, which we would love to know what you've had enough of. Coming up at 5:30, we'll air your enough, but you don't have to wait until then. You can send us a voice message right now.
Hey, Jason, that's Mark from Edina. And I have had enough of people driving 20 miles an hour over the speed limit on 494 and cutting in and out of traffic. It happens every day. I see it when I go to work. I see it when I come home. It's getting old, and I actually saw a really serious accident last week.
Yeah.
So that's what I've had enough of.
I like it. I like it. I was feeling that today. I was driving out to White Bear Lake to go visit the dog beach. I like to report in person. Some of these scandals, Dan. A lot of your talk show hosts. In fact, I know one talk show host that isn't even in this state.
Yes.
Just bloviating on and on and on and on.
He wouldn't go to the dog beach for sure.
I went to White Bear Lake. Before I did a 4-minute rant on the dog beach, I thought, well, I should drive 45 minutes from Maple Grove to White Bear Lake. But I had it locked in, going 70, which was the speed limit, settled down. And people were like, up my bumper. I know the view is nice, but like you do not need to be crawling right up my bumper. Okay. I have talked before about the social media warning conversation. And I'm not a fan of the warning. I feel like we're in a society right now that wants to put a warning label on social media. We want to put a warning label on, parenting is a warning, and this is a warning. And what about, high salt? Like that should be a warning. Red number, on and on. Alcohol. I think there was a conversation about putting warnings on alcohol. But this morning I read a very interesting argument as to why a warning label would be a good idea on social media. And that argument came from the CEO of the Suicide Awareness Voices of Education nonprofit, SAVE. And Eric Mishi got my attention. And Eric is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker hotline because I like to hear from people who maybe have a different viewpoint than I do. So I really appreciate you joining us today. Eric, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Ring out Ahoya, Jason.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. My daughter is a senior there, so she said I needed to make sure I said
very good.
There. I've done my job.
Gotta get the Marquette University love out. I was in a room last night with a bunch of Georgetown alums, and I did not like it one bit. I was feeling very, very uncomfortable around those guys. They didn't look as happy as we Marquette alums look. I'll tell you that much.
I'm sure that's the case.
All right. You wrote the case for social media warning labels in the opinion section of the Minnesota Star Tribune today. Co-wrote it with Bridget Noring. Tell me what your case is, why you think there should be a warning on social media for young people particularly.
Yeah. Well, let me first start out by saying that I don't think warning labels by themselves are the end-all, be-all solution to making sure that young people stay safe on social media platforms. I look at social media warning labels as a tool to make sure that we continue to highlight for parents and for young people that there are clear and present dangers existing today on social media platforms that are causing significant harm to young people that we didn't see 20 or 25 years ago. We are seeing increases in harms to mental health. We are seeing increases in sextortion, in sex trafficking. Young people like Devin Noring, who was able to purchase illegal drugs on Snapchat. And we're seeing marked increases in suicidal ideation and suicide among kids who are falling victims to some of these harms, but who are also simply being caught up in this endless loop that has been created by the big tech companies to addict young people to these platforms. And so in the same way that tobacco created products that addicted us decades ago, is big tech's products and algorithms do the same type of addiction. The difference is instead of inhaling it, you are absorbing it by seeing it and hearing it and being unable to let it go. So again, warning labels are not the end-all be-all. They are one tool among many. Those other tools need to be strong legislative guidelines and guardrails at both the federal and state level that stop these companies from targeting kids, selling their data, and putting harmful content in front of them time and time and time again.
Eric Mishi is our guest talking about warning labels. So what do you say to the sort of counterpoint where, kids already are not observing the rules that require, you to be 13 to have an Instagram account and that sort of stuff? Why would any kid listen to a warning label?
I think our goal really is to get young people to be driving this conversation by submitting these warning label suggestions. We want them to be able to share with their peers, what are those dangers? Who better to help warn young people about the dangers of social media than young people? And to your point, you're exactly right. They could defeat all of these, and that's the piece of this, Jason, that is so alarming. Is that big tech has the capability to do all sorts of things using the same technology that created these platforms to keep kids from getting addicted to this. And so there has to be a recognition that young people are smart enough to defeat just about every protective feature that currently exists or is required by law. And the difference here, and this is something that's really important, part of what we're trying to accomplish here, Jason, is to make sure that we are letting parents and young people start having conversations among one another about these harms. One of the things that we see is that young people who are being sex trafficked or sextorted or being bullied or finding harmful content on social media are increasingly afraid to raise those issues to the parent or a trusted adult, right? And so if you don't have the ability to say to mom or dad or someone else, somebody's tracking me, there's a predator after me, somebody made me send them a dirty picture and now they're threatening me, right? We've got
Which
to
this
open up
happens.
that
I don't know, Eric, if our listeners know how often this happens, but this happens so often the FBI issued a warning about it. And I have 2 teenage sons. Like, they have friends that this has happened to. This is happening in if you don't think this is happening, it is. And if you don't think that that's sort of sextortion, you can put your kind of Puritan hat on and say, well, no one should be sending nude pictures to anyone. But also, like, this is part of how the courtship world works today. But that can lead to that hopelessness and that sort of those feelings of taking your own life.
Yeah.
Understandable.
And so that piece of it, I will tell you above all else, right? Above all else is that if what we can accomplish with this campaign is letting parents know that they've got to have that conversation and they can't further stigmatize their young person by judging them, right?
Yes.
Right. I mean, I don't know, my parents told me, if you go to a party and you get drunk and I do not want you to get in a car and drive. I want you to call us. I won't yell at you, right? I mean, we got to be able to have that same conversation with kids today to say, something, if something bad is happening, you need to be able to come to us and you need to know that we're not going to judge you. We're not going to blame you. We're going to work on protecting you together.
Boy, isn't that interesting, that conversation? And I feel, you're just making me run through every conversation I've had with my kids as we talk with Eric Mishy from SAVE, because of course I had those conversations like, hey, if you go to a party, if you go to someone's house, you drink, like, no questions asked. I'm coming to get you. Like, don't even think twice about it. Now, I also said there would be questions asked the next day. What I mean? But like, I'm leading with love, but like, I'm not done parenting here. But those conversations, which I would say like most Gen X parents and most millennial parents are having with their kids, but most of us are not having those conversations about what's going on in the digital world.
We're not. And we have to. And we have to.
And even if we think we are, like, we're not saying it the way that you just said it. That, like, if you get in a bind with something that happens online, don't let your embarrassment about it keep you from coming to me.
Exactly right.
Well, I still don't know that we need a warning label to do that. I think you're 1,000% right. I mean, I guess my main concern with warning labels is that there are so many bad or potentially bad things in our world. How do we decide what we're going to label, what we're not going to label? I do think that the conversation around this, at your point, is spot on. That if we can raise this to more of a crisis level conversation, which I do think it is, it's worthy of that, then that will be mission accomplished.
I agree.
Yeah, and the big tech has responsibility, right? I mean, they created this product and they did such a good job at it that now we all are sort of messed up because of it. We're all sort of addicted in one form or another.
I smoked for 20 years.
Yeah, so know. Does it feel the same? Does the addiction, you think, the digital addiction from the way you hear about it and the way you observe it?
It's no different. You know what the more troubling part of it is, though, Jason, is that I started smoking when I was 12, right? what we now know is that kids who are younger than 12 are on social media, right? They've got access to phones. And what we have learned is that the algorithms and the amount of time that kids are on the phone impacts actual cognitive brain development, right?
Yeah.
And so, and the difference is that unlike tobacco, where, there was at least some ability to stop you from physically purchasing something, right? Is that you had to go to a store, right? There was at least some stopgap measures.
You had to get past some clerk, or you had to do something.
You had to do something. In the virtual world, there is no clerk stopping you, right? There's nobody monitoring that, and we're not supportive of censoring the internet. We're not talking about stopping young people from having access to these platforms, but the reality is that the same addictive factors, same addictive features that were prevalent when I started smoking at 12 are now being put in front of kids who are 7 and 8 years old, which is why the National Institute for Mental Health issued a study last year that said the fastest growing rates of suicidal ideation and suicide in this country are among preteen kids.
Yeah, I do think, you look at the technological solutions that you could add to this. Like, for example, I have 2 nephews who are pretty young. And I will guarantee you that my brother and sister-in-law would love to be able to mark their devices as a device, an iPad or whatever, that this is a kid device. And that would send a paying out to every tech company. Like, okay, this is, kids will always find a way, but big tech could make this a lot harder for kids to get access to some of this harmful stuff.
Absolutely. And they choose not to. And they spend millions and millions of dollars a year for folks. And I spent 35 years of my life in government politics. And like I say, I've never seen anything like the amount of money that is spent by big tech to stop these kind of guardrails from being put in place.
Eric Mischie, the effort, if you want to learn more about it, is called Kids Keep It Digitally Safe. And you can read his piece in the Star Tribune today as well. Eric, always appreciate talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is 4:23, hour 2, drive time with DeRusha. I want to come back and talk a little bit about the Governor Tim Walz charm offensive. Our old buddy. He's back in business. We'll talk about that coming up.
We need a quick pit stop. Then Jason DeRusha continues on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hey, it's Jason DeRusha here with a question for you. If you need to sell your home quickly, or you have somebody in your life who's got to sell their home quickly, do you know what to do? Do you really want to go through the trouble of calling a realtor, interviewing a bunch of people, cleaning out the house, maybe upgrading some appliances? Oh, now I got to change out this. Now I got to paint this. The outside looks pretty rough. It's a lot of stress, isn't it? Offload the stress to my friend, Chris Lindahl. Chris Lindahl helped my wife and I when we were looking for a house. I love working with him, and I love telling his story. Some people are like me, always thinking about moving. Some people are ready to move now. Maybe you're expecting more kids. Maybe you're relocating for work. Maybe you're an empty nester. Your house is too much to take care of. There's a death in a family. All sorts of reasons that life comes your way. Whatever the situation is, this is the truth. The more ready you are to sell your house, the better a guaranteed cash offer looks. None of the headaches. No sign in the yard, no nosy neighbors going through your stuff. It is fast, easy, convenient, and private, and it works. Thousands of people have had a great experience, and don't waste a minute stressing out. Get it done. Get the guaranteed cash offer today. Go find out about it. Go to chrislindahl.com. KRIS, chrislindahl.com today.
So today we have Albert from UCare to help decomplicate Medicare plans for people who are just starting to learn about it. Tell me a little bit about Original Medicare and Medicare supplement plans.
Original Medicare is designed to cover about 80% of your overall medical expenditures. And then you have your Medicare supplement plans. They're designed to help cover the other 20% that Medicare leaves off. Most other costs are covered under your supplement plan. They do offer a nationwide coverage as well. They will be accepted anywhere that Original Medicare is accepted. Medicare supplement plans will provide a level of predictability instead of thinking about co-pays and constant costs. You pay your monthly premium one time a month, and your medical costs are mostly covered.
So why should someone go with UCare?
So UCare does have competitive rates. Some of the lowest rates statewide that you can find, no-cost fitness options and hearing aid discounts, and a large dedicated broker network that's willing to take all the time needed to help you find the right plan to secure your long-term health goals.
For more, contact a local broker and visit ucare.org.
Although Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra never shared the stage, their musical legacies come together in Barbra and Frank, the concert that never was, starring Sharon Owens and Sebastian Anzaldo. This can't-miss tribute features sensational performances of the powerhouse vocalist's biggest hits, captivating duets, and witty banter. See what could have been become reality at Treasure Island Resort and Casino on Friday, February 28th. Get your tickets at TICasino.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text LINE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text LINE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text LINE to 200-300. That's LINE to 200-300. LINE to 200-300.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Sometimes I feel like a completely different species than everybody who thinks that that might be fun.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Gaffigan.
I know what you're thinking. More handsome in person. But I tell you, I got to talk a little about the Runza sandwich tonight. I think, the food thing is a pretty big deal with me, and
that is Governor Tim Walz coming out as Jim Gaffigan last night at at the Gaffigan show at the Orpheum in downtown. Look, we need more politicians who can take a joke. And Jim Gaffigan played Tim Walz on Saturday Night Live during the rather short campaign for vice president. I love that Tim Walz came out and made that campaign. Coming back to planet Earth. Since the governor lost the election for vice president, look, it's hard. Nobody wants. I remember what it was like when I lost the campaign for 7th grade student council at Chippewa Junior High.
Pretty much the same thing.
It's very similar. I was devastated. I mean, I don't lose too often, so I guess I can't really relate to what it's like for Governor Walz. But I'm sure I've told people who have lost. A lot of losers I know are telling me.
People are telling you? Yeah.
It's very difficult. Look, of course it's hard, right? You thought you had a good chance of being vice president of the United States. Then you move home during the Minnesota winter. You got to deal with these ding-dongs at the legislature who can't even decide how many people make up a quorum. You've got a Democrat in your own party who got his election victory thrown out because he didn't actually live in the district. And you're like, oh my, do I want to keep doing that? Then Tina Smith says she's not going to run for Senate. And 10 seconds later, you're a lieutenant governor who apparently you're in some sort of spat with. She says she's running. I'm running. And then you're like, well, maybe I wanted to run. There's a lot of drama about this stuff. But sometimes in life, you get knocked down and you got to get back on the horse and get riding again. And I do think coming out, doing the bit with Jim Gaffigan, is a great first step. I think we all, even if you hate, which some of you, man, I will say, I am surprised at the intensity of the hate towards Tim Walz. I think it's 100% COVID related. And I think it's 100% bizarre. because governors all around the country were doing sort of the same things as was happening here. But, I get it. When you go through that, maybe you have a loss in your business, whatever, you take it personally. I understand. I do understand that. That said, we've expressed our disappointments, our areas where I think Tim Walz has fallen short. And I would like to see a governor being a little stronger at bringing people with different views to the table and trying to get things done. And I think far too often he lets the process play out. Maybe he works behind the scenes a little bit, but I'd like to see a little more aggressive, let's be one Minnesota. Let's get some stuff done.
Has not been terribly visible since coming back.
Not really.
And that's been a criticism, especially with all the nonsense with the House and the opening of the legislature there. And I understand, the executive can't just come in and Bigfoot the legislative branch. But, being involved in that in terms of negotiating or suggesting, there are ways that you can lead without having to come in and dominate a conversation like that. And so if this, and again, this appearance isn't going to change anything.
No.
But it is a shift in terms of just him being out in public and being visible, which he hasn't done since coming back.
Yeah, he's done a couple news conferences, but it hasn't been a lot.
It hasn't been much. No.
He was wasn't he in the Netherlands or something? He was
did a business trip over there. Yeah.
So fine. But you're the governor for 2 more years.
At least.
So let's go. I like it. If this is a start of a charm offensive, maybe a little bit of understanding, hey, I shouldn't have froze out the Minnesota media. I should have answered more questions. Just understanding, all right, things didn't go the way you wanted it to go. Let's focus on what we can control. And I feel like, do I need to be the governor? Do I need to be the coach? Pick it up. Pick it up, Tim Walz. You can do it. Let's make these 2 years count. We're in the second quarter. We're not in the fourth quarter. So pick up your head and get back out there. Get back out on the field. It is 4:33. We're going to break. When we come back, 2 Twin Cities moms who said, it'd be kind of cool to launch some videos with recipes. Now they have 9 million followers on Instagram and a cookbook. They call themselves the Food Dolls. We'll give you a sample of our podcast with them. Coming up here on CCO.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Have you ever been to Greece? Have you ever been to Greece? Have you always wanted to go? What are you waiting for? Don't wait. Let's make today. I'm telling Tim Walz to pick it up. I'm telling you to pick it up. Don't wait. You can come to Greece with us and Colette. It's Jason, my wife Alyssa, and I are inviting you to join us and some CCO listeners on October 12th as we discover Greece. Oh, if you have never been to Athens, are you in for a treat? Yes, all of the history. But imagine being on the rooftop of our hotel. Maybe you've got an NA drink. Maybe you've got a cocktail. Maybe you've got a beer. And you're looking out, and there's the Acropolis. Whoa, lit up at night, just absolutely stunning. Then we go for 3 nights on the amazing islands of Mykonos and Santorini. Beautiful islands. Experience the island life, the beach, the traditional music, the Greek cuisine. We get local experiences where Colette connects us with these amazing experts in Greece. It's going to be so fun, and they take care of everything for the flights, most of our meals, hotels. I'll give personalized suggestions of restaurants and bars. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Make some new friends. Come along with me and Alyssa to Greece. WCCOradio.com/Greece. Do it today because these seats are going fast. WCCOradio.com/Greece.
Before the flowers bloom, ahead of the birds returning, what's our first real sign of spring? Twins baseball on the radio.
Griffin Jacks is strike 3 on a bender, and I locked him up.
His new toy, now able to drop a curveball like that.
Spring training isn't just practice, it's where the roster takes shape.
Sharply to the left side, RBI single, Austin Martin, and the Twins lead 2-0.
Championship seasons start in Fort Myers on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Huntington is banking that just clicks.
like early pay. You could get paid up to 2 days faster, and there's no cost. Hey, Twin Cities, stop playing the waiting game. Make the switch today at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply.
In almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it is a one and done. Because we don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
The attorneys at the Engel firm want you to know, when it comes time to protecting your rights as a property manager, owner, or investor, they're ready for you. From evictions and LLCs to wills and trusts, the Engel firm is committed to giving you prompt, focused advice for a quality outcome. For a free consultation, call 612-373-7060 or go to theengellawfirm.com. That's theengellawfirm.com.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
You want to feel important. You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and that you can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We felt that way too. I'm Sergeant First Class Chris Urick from Glencoe, Minnesota, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Minnesota Army National Guard soldiers. We are people just like you, and together we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit nationalguard.com/MN to find out more. Sponsored by Minnesota Army National Guard, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Many listeners have asked me what CBD products I use, and I am so happy to be able to share them with you on the radio. Jordana Green here. I really want to destigmatize CBD and reveal compelling health benefits that I've experienced. I use Mini Leaf. Check out minileaf.com, MINNELEAF.com. I use these products. I would not recommend them to you if I didn't. Mark has used them. We have both experienced the benefits from the Triple Diamond Pain Cream. Such relief. And also those Sleep Night gummies. The best night's sleep I have had in a while. No pharmaceuticals needed. Check out the true benefits of CBD. You can see they're 100% natural Mini Leafs products, and you can look at the studies on the website. Minileaf.com. MINNELEAF. Tell them Jordana sent you.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Stall sitting in the center lane, 494 northbound Bass Lake Road. Use caution as you head through the area. Traffic is already slow as you come up from Highway 55. North 169 at Bass Lake Road crashed off to the right side. That's been taken care of. Problems continue down in Bloomington with an accident. South 35W at 494 right lane shut down. Things are jammed up and back up into the crosstown. You also have the ramp shut down west 494 to southbound 35W for cleanup. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Washburn-McCreevy invites you to a free seminar for pre-planning your funeral and cremation services to help protect your family in the future. Enjoy food, visit with speakers for the Hopkins Chapel Tuesday, March 6th at noon at Pizza Luce in Hopkins. For information, go to washburnmccreevy.com. Seating is limited.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather brought to you by Washburn-McCreevy Funeral, Cremation, and Pre-Planning Services. Here is Chris Schaefer.
It stays breezy tonight, partly cloudy down to 37. Tomorrow, a wind advisory. Starts up at 9 in the morning, goes till 6 in the evening. It'll be mostly cloudy. I think we hit that high of 47 just after lunchtime. Cold front comes through and the temperatures drop like a rock. Northwest wind 15 to 25, could be gusting up to 50 miles per hour at times. Batten down the hatches. That wind will settle down on Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 32, back to the 40s on Sunday.
Maple Grove is feeling 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It is currently 48 degrees on CCO.
DeRusha now returns on News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRusha, he has the eats.
Nobody brings you the Twin Cities restaurant scene like our favorite foodie. Now, Jason explores some of the great chefs, owners, and stories right in our own backyard as DriveTime transitions into DeRusha Eats.
And DeRusha Eats is brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board and Certix Liquor and Cheese Shop, where their anniversary sale is in effect right now. We start today with two Twin Cities moms and their unlikely fame. Maybe you have seen on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok two sisters teaching you how to cook like this.
This marinated chickpea with feta is a show-stopping appetizer.
Marinate your chickpeas with olive oil, seasoning, herbs, and just toss together.
And then you're going to make your feta base, and now you know the drill.
Just assemble everything together, and this is also a great make-ahead.
And be sure to get our brand new cookbook, Pretty Delicious, that's out now.
Supporting us is what keeps us going, and we appreciate all the love.
Yes.
More than 2,000 recipes online shared by these Minnesota sisters, Alia and Radwa El-Kafas. And they call themselves the Food Dolls. Once you see the first video, you're like, oh, this looks so easy. I'm going to try it. Then you'll see another one. Then you'll try it. She started in 2015. That Facebook page they started 10 years ago has 4.4 million followers. Add in Instagram and TikTok, you're up to more than 9 million. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And they could not be more delightful. I have a food podcast called DeRusha Eats. Clever name, right? We do long interviews with chefs and creators, and the Food Dolls came in. Alia and Radwa sat and talked with us about sort of how they shoot these videos.
Yeah, you've seen how much it has evolved, and I think it's constantly trying to make them look better and better and better, and growing with the videos and just trying to see what's more appealing and what's more visually appealing for people.
Yeah. Well, and I think quality of like cameras, like technology has changed.
So what were you using when you first started?
We were using a Sony camera, and then we changed to a Canon, and now we just use our iPhone.
Straight up everything on the
everything
phone.
iPhone except for our photography.
Yep.
And what do you edit? Do you edit it, or do you have people now? Like, you're a big business. Do you have people, or how does this work?
We have control issues where we like to have control over a lot of things.
So we edit ourselves.
You edit your own video?
Yeah.
Wow. So do you have anyone help? You must have someone help you with something. Like, you can't.
Yeah, we do.
You can't manage a community of 9 million people.
Yeah, we have a photographer that comes and helps us with the pictures for all our recipes, and we do have some people that help us with the website. So we do have some people to help us for sure.
But when you're responding to the Food Dolls on social media, it's them. I was surprised. I thought for sure they had to have a team. If you search DeRusha Eats wherever you get podcasts, the latest episode is up, a 40-minute conversation with these Eden Prairie natives, the Food Dolls, their new cookbook, which my wife and I were just looking through last night, trying to decide which recipes we're going to cook. It's called Pretty Delicious. They talk about how they find inspiration. They talk about their background as well. They're the daughters of Egyptian immigrants. And their life changed after they were married and started families, and they were both working. But they would talk because they're close sisters. They would talk every day and be like, what are you making for dinner today? And what I love is it's so interesting, the second generation sort of immigrant story here in Minnesota, where you grew up making these recipes. You know, you grew up around this food, and maybe it was usually mom, let's be honest. Mom is making dinner. And then when you get into your late 20s, early 30s, and you want to cook for your own kids, and you're like, Mom, do you have the recipe? And mom's, they tell a story in the podcast where mom is like, well, you just throw in a little of this, and then you throw in that, and then you do a little of that, and then maybe you add a little more of that. And they're like, Alia's like, Mom, like, that's not how I cook. You don't have a recipe written down anywhere? And so they would talk it out, and they sort of created these recipes. And it's you hear in the conversation how close these two are. It's really a sweet family story, and it's an amazing story of the digital age, right? These two moms never would have had a cookbook. They never would have had an audience. You would have to be a cook, go to culinary school, have a restaurant. These were just moms making recipes, and they started sharing those recipes with the world. And you decide, right? You follow them. You like it. You make the recipes, and that's what it is. It's pretty cool. Pretty Delicious is the name of the cookbook, and they're doing a cookbook signing as well on March 2nd. So that is Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m. at the Barnes & Noble at the Galleria in Edina. So you can go to their website, fooddolls.com, food, F-O-O-D, dolls.com. Cookbooks, it's really cool. I've been following. It is funny how you get invested in people, Dan, that you were maybe following in the early days. I'm sure you have different people you follow on social media where you're like,
sure,
you're cheering for them because like, oh, I remember when you had like a couple hundred followers when you were nothing. And it's so fun to see their success.
When you see talented and high quality people that have that success, that's gratifying just to be on the periphery of. So,
and they're so nice. So check that out. Search DeRusha Eats, subscribe to the podcast, and you can get more in the Food Dolls. Now, yesterday, I was talking with Chad about, I think it was with Chad. I don't know. I'm on this dang radio station so much, I don't even remember when I'm telling stories to who.
Your courage is an example for us all.
You know what? You're welcome. So I was at this Wizards and Wands.
I'm sorry, the what now?
It's the Wizards and Wands cocktail event.
You don't say.
Wizards and Wands. And if you go to my Instagram, I have a couple of videos up that show a little bit of my Wizards and Wands experience. So I don't know what has happened to us as a society where we cannot just go out to O'Donovan's and have a drink and talk to people and maybe watch a game and feel like that's a fun night out.
Everything's got to be a big production.
I want to be entertained. Yep. Entertain me. So last night we go to this thing, the Wizards and Wands cocktail event. And what would you imagine we would see at Wizards and Wands?
I mean, the obvious connection seems like it would be very Harry Potter-ish.
Exactly. So, I'm sure they can't say it's a Harry Potter cocktail party.
Without paying Ms. Rowling a whole bunch of money.
So we roll in behind, it's like there's this kind of black curtain, and you go through into the wizarding world. It looks pretty cool, actually. I heard they had like a set designer from the Guthrie come into O'Donovan's and set it up. And then you sit down, and there's one gal dressed like some kind of wizard and somebody else dressed like Harry Potter. And they do like Harry Potter trivia. And then you make your own potions. You make your own cocktails, but it's like a potion.
Sure.
So what you need for that, I think, is obvious, right?
Heavy on the dry ice?
Heavy on the dry ice.
Yeah.
There's your cauldron of
Ooh, yes.
I was 15 years too old for this experience.
Probably, at least.
Hey, watch it.
I'm older than you, so.
By like 3 months.
Okay, but that still counts.
There's an age group, and my younger sister is 14 years younger than me. She grew, her proper generation would be Generation Potter. Okay. Like she grew up with all of the books, all of the movies,
films, yeah,
the whole bit. And so this is like screaming, go out with your Hufflepuff and your Gryffindor and your get
your Ravenclaw. Yeah.
You're all of them. Some people were dressed up.
Of course they were. Of course they were. So, and now there's going to be a whole another generation that's going to get into this because HBO is working on the series. And you're starting to hear major casting news there. So there's going to be a whole new Harry Potter series, which means a whole new crop of kids are going to be into it, which means to a degree, ODs is getting out ahead of this.
So you buy a ticket and it's like a 90-minute show.
Yeah. It's a whole experience.
I guess that's what people want, right?
Seems to be.
We're old. Like I was talking to Dermot, the owner of O'Donovan's, and I said, Dermot, don't people just want to sit at a table and talk to their friends? He's like, no.
They definitely don't want to
do not want to do that. So pretty cool. Just Google it. Or
there's a reason all these super immersive theme parks make just oodles and oodles and oodles of cash. People that are fans of these things want to immerse themselves in that experience. And if you can do it on a local level, on a smaller type of scale like this, you're going to make some dough.
It was fun-ish. It was fun adjacent.
It would probably have been a lot more fun if you were more of a Harry Potter fan.
I mean, I got a couple other trivia questions. Right?
Sure.
I've read most of the books. I've seen some of the movies. I've been to the Harry Potter studio.
I'm not questioning your
I
credentials.
feel like you're questioning my Potter.
I'm saying if you were like hardcore into it.
I have a studio under the stairs in my basement.
You're not. If you were hardcore into it, this would have been a bigger deal for you. That's all I'm saying. It's not a criticism, Jason.
Very sensitive. That's DeRusha Eats. Check out the podcast, Food Dolls, at the DeRusha Eats podcast. Thank you to Minnesota Pork and to Surdix for their support. Back with more in just a minute.
Drive Time with DeRusha is hitting the off-ramp for a quick stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I know what I'm having for dinner tomorrow night. Going up to Grandview Lodge and having myself some Minnesota pork. It's Jason here from my friends at the Minnesota Pork Board. And, these family farmers, this is such a great time of year for them as they're working so hard to take care of their animals, getting ready to think about what they're going to do, planting crops, because so many of our pig farmers are also crop farmers, right? They're growing corn, they're growing beans, they're growing wheat. A lot of times they're growing some of the food that they use for feed for those pigs, or they're using the manure from the pigs to fertilize the soil and making sure they use just the exact amount so they don't get runoff into the water, keep the soil lively. Yeah, for real. This is what the Minnesota Pork Board and our 3,000 family farmers are working on. The latest technology to take care of our great state and make sure that they can take their farms and pass it down to the next generation. All of that, plus, man, it's so good, isn't it? It is so delicious. Lean, high in protein. It's just what the doctor ordered right now. So go to the grocery store, go to the butcher shop. Make your plan for the weekend. How about pork shoulder? How about find a recipe at mnpork.com? Tons of ideas. But let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight. Oh, yeah.
Celebrating 30 years of Minnesota-made furniture. Delivered direct to you. That's furniture from By the Yard. Explore the largest ever release of new products. Fresh wood grain colors and timeless favorites in the latest collection of maintenance-free outdoor furniture, built to last, backed by a 35-year warranty. Request your catalog today. Start planning your perfect outdoor space before spring arrives. Visit bytheyard.net or stop by the showrooms in Woodbury, Maple Grove, or Jordan to get yours. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS. That's newnordicusa.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. 1036-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Crash working on the left shoulder, Cedar North at Old Shakopee Road. Expect some minor slowing down there as you travel southbound 35W. Right lane remains closed at 494, and also the ramp west 494 to southbound 35W. That remains closed as work continues to clear out a crash. Shop favorite brands at Whole Foods Market. Save 33% on Rayo's soups, pastas, frozen items, and 24-ounce pasta sauces with Prime through March 4th. Plan an Italian-inspired dinner. These easy weeknight classics while supplies last. Shop in store online. Terms apply. Jerry Peterson, New Talk 830 WCCO.
Jordana Green here. I pray you and your family are always safe. But if there's ever a time where you need an advocate after an accident, let Mike Bryant of Bradshaw and Bryant help you. He will work with and for you in dealing with the insurance company. Call 800-770-7008 today. Bradshaw and Bryant, seeking justice for the injured.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Bradshaw and Bryant at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com bringing us Chris Schaefer's forecast. Wind is going to be the big story over the next 36 hours or so. Tomorrow's going to be gonzo with gusts up to 50 miles an hour. It'll be 47 degrees, but I don't think anyone's going to be enjoying it too much. Saturday, mostly sunny, just 32. That is right about the average. Right now in downtown Minneapolis, it is 48 on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Look at that, right at the WCCO radio YouTube channel. News breaking this afternoon. Travis Kelce, you know, the guy who's dating Taylor Swift, he is returning to the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of people thought he was going to retire. He's doing one more season, at least.
I bet if they won the Super Bowl, he walks.
Probably true, right? He only had 4 receptions for 39 yards in the Super Bowl. He did say in his podcast he does with his brother that to cope when he feels the sads, he listens to Taylor's music.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
You're at home. MerrittChev.com. You need a vehicle. MerrittChev.com. Wherever you are, MerrittChev.com. Shop in the comfort of your home on MerrittChev.com, where all their prices are clearly marked for their all new and used vehicles. It's like a virtual test drive. Merritt Chevrolet is the full service real deal with sales, service, body shop, and parts. Just off Century and I-94, or you guessed it, MerrittChev.com. Merritt Chevrolet, the dealership right in your backyard. Together, let's drive. See dealer for details.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
First time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
The news you need from the station you trust. News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump was joined at the White House today by the British Prime Minister, the second European leader to travel to Washington to discuss Ukraine, specifically what would come after a deal.
I think we're very well advanced on a deal, but we have not made a deal yet. So I don't like to talk about peacekeeping until we have a deal. I like to get things done. I don't want to give it the bad luck side.
Security contributor Sam Vinograd.
What Prime Minister Starmer has been unable to do, as has President Macron, is to convince the United States to make some kind of security commitment to Ukraine's future, even if the UK, France, and other European countries put boots on the ground.
Trump is hosting the Ukrainian president tomorrow. CBS's Nancy Cortez reports there's been a notable change in how the president is referring to Zelensky.
He actually said that he respects Zelensky, that he thinks they're going to get along great, and that he has great admiration for the Ukrainian people who have fought very bravely against the Russians. So a distinct change of tone from President Trump. It's not exactly clear why.
Fired USAID workers were given 15 minutes to clear out their offices today as a crowd gathered outside to send them off. Caitlin Huey-Burns was there.
People coming outside of the building after collecting their belongings have been greeted by this crowd with applause. There are donuts, there's coffee, a show of support from some former USAID workers, as well as these layoffs have spread wide.
Jobless claims rose last week. Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch.
They spiked way more than economists expected. It was the highest spike on a weekly basis that we've seen in 4 months. And specifically, when you dig into the data, there was a spike in Washington, D.C.,
which could grow as more fired workers seek benefits. A new CBS News poll finds a large number of Americans say their salaries aren't keeping up with inflation. Director of Surveys, Anthony Salvanto.
3/4 that say no, it isn't. And that's a big reason why people say overall still that the national economy is bad.
And investigations underway into the deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife at their home outside of Santa Fe. Correspondent Bradley Blackburn reports.
On Wednesday afternoon, the actor's body was found along with the body of his 64-year-old wife, Betsy Arakawa, and their dog. Officials said they may have been dead for some time. There were no signs of a gas or carbon monoxide leak and no obvious signs of foul play. Pills were found scattered near Arakawa.
I think the autopsy is going to be key, and the toxicology.
Hackman was 95. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy, 49 degrees at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz finding himself on the hot seat today when he was asked if he would apologize to Republicans for some recent comments he made to supporters.
What's wrong is our country's being stole by fascists and Nazis.
Republican leaders released this clip of audio from an event where Governor Walz spoke to his supporters about what's happening in Washington under the Trump administration. Senate Leader Mark Johnson says they want an apology.
His comments regarding Republicans as Nazis and fascists who are stealing our country is a reference to Republicans winning election. And this is just outrageous.
During a news conference, a reporter asked the governor if he would, in fact, apologize.
Look, we have folks marching in the streets. We have a woman in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, pulled out by a militia. I'm talking to a group of supporters and saying what's going on in our country right now is we have people who are openly Nazis and fascists trying to take our country, and we need to push back.
Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry mincing no words today over the city council's override of his veto that allows the council to further explore a pedestrian mall at George Floyd Square.
Today's short-sighted decision by the council has ignored community wishes and is a colossal waste of both time and money.
Fry says the decision will cost an extra $500,000 and delay progress at George Floyd Square until mid-2026. City Operations Officer Margaret Anderson Kelleher.
To ignore, to disregard, to shut down what the community has told us is something that might take your breath away.
Mayor Fry's condemnation also spilling over onto social media. In a post on X, he encourages residents to help elect city leaders who put progress above politics by attending their local DFL precinct caucus on April 8th. Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
St. Paul police make 2 arrests in connection with the killing of a 24-year-old man last November in the city's Frogtown neighborhood. The 18 and 19-year-old were taken into custody by a St. Paul SWAT team this morning. They're being held on suspicion of second-degree murder in the fatal shooting of DeJuan Hemphill. Cottage Grove police launching a program geared toward young people interested in a law enforcement career.
It's the first ever Cottage Grove Youth Police Academy.
They'll be getting a tour of the Hero Center. They'll get to do a lot of hands-on experience, some of the tools that we use in the fire side and law enforcement side.
Officer Luke Landgraf is a school resource officer at Park High School. He says the academy looks to generate interest through relationships he's built while interacting with students over the years.
I also work part-time at the fair, and I get a lot of kids come up to me at the fair like, oh, you're SRO Park, 3 years ago, and I don't necessarily know all their names, but they know me still. So this is important. Spot's important to keep those relationships going.
The 5-week program starts March 18th. Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
And after a 5-year hiatus, Minneapolis's St. Patrick's Day Parade is returning to Minneapolis this year. Organizers had moved it to Columbia Heights during the COVID pandemic. It stayed there after some sponsors got on board. The parade will be Tuesday on St. Patrick's Day, Tuesday, March 17th, 6 p.m. on the Nicollet Mall from 6th to 12th Streets.
Well, I think it's Monday, right? What day is it?
You're trying to mess me up now. It's Tuesday, March 17th.
All right.
That is St. Patty's Day for everybody.
All right.
It's 5:06 on CCO.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
We're still working the problems on 35W southbound at 494 with an accident there, right lane affected. They also have a ramp shut down west 494. The southbound 35W, but it looks like they might be getting pretty close to reopening things up. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Traveling 494 westbound itself, that's going to be on the heavy side. Cedar heading out toward Highway 100. Cedar North Old Chockley Road, crash off to the left shoulder. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Breezy today, straight up windy tomorrow. We'll keep a partly cloudy sky, fall back to 37 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. I think we hit 47 early in the afternoon. Then the temperatures are going to tumble. A cold front comes through. The wind shifts coming from the northwest, 15 to 25. It could gust up to 50 miles per hour at times. That's why there's a wind advisory in play. Wind dies down on Saturday. Temperatures go down as well. Sunny with a high of 32.
Mostly cloudy right now, 49 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
On the air, on WCCORadio.com, on the Odyssey app, at home or on the go. You can always listen to News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie. Just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRusha.
Ladies and gentlemen, Laura O.
Can I please fix my mistake?
Of course. Yeah.
This is just egregious. St. Patrick's Day is Monday, March 17th. I was adamant that it was Tuesday. I don't know where I got that from.
Yeah.
It's Monday.
Was
That is when the Minneapolis parade will be.
So I don't want to belabor the point, but was anybody in this room correct about what date it actually was?
I don't think so.
I said it was Monday, and you told me no. You thought I was messing with you.
I really did. I know. I thought I was absolutely right, and I have no idea where I got this information. So my bad.
I think we should start a full investigation. Somebody probably messed it up on a press release, right? And then it ended up in a thing. And could we blame Taylor? Is it Taylor's fault, maybe?
I take full responsibility.
It happens. It happens. Everyone's texting. This is good. This is a digital engagement strategy that I sometimes engage in.
Oh, okay. Making a mistake
I make
in public?
a minor mistake and intentionally.
And wait for people to call you on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do people love
I know.
to tell you you're wrong?
I know they do.
Texter says, calendar says March 17th is a Monday, but can I trust Apple?
I don't know.
I mean,
in
this case, yes.
Yes.
I think
Yes. Monday, March 17th.
Very good.
Laura made a mistake.
That happened.
Yes.
Thanks, Laura.
Have a good day.
I'm glad they're bringing it back to Minneapolis.
Yeah, me too.
I like that parade here. St. Paul's St. Patrick's Day parade is better.
It's a good one. That'll be on the weekend.
So it's like a different vibe. The St. Paul one gives like family fun / Irish drunks.
Yeah.
Whereas Minneapolis, I was the Grand Marshal of the Minneapolis St. Patrick's Parade one year when it was like 80 degrees on St. Patrick's Day. And it was the busiest and the drunkest I've ever seen downtown Minneapolis.
Because they've had all day to drink. The parade's not till 6.
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. I have a picture of me like in a t-shirt with my very little kids.
Love it.
It was pretty fun. Thanks, Laura. Appreciate it. Hour 3 of Drive Time with DeRusha in effect. I think it's time for the DeRusha Hour News headlines, The Lead.
Now, time to get you caught up on some of the biggest stories of the day. These are the DeRusha Hour headlines.
Good evening. Our top story.
This just in.
Our top story.
We begin tonight.
We begin tonight.
We begin with The Lead.
And are you taking part in an economic blackout? A grassroots organization wants you to spend nothing tomorrow. This is about economic resistance. That's the term they're using. And this is an organization that says big billionaires and the two main political parties have too much power over the lives of working Americans. And so why not take back the power? They're promoting larger boycotts of particular companies, but this is step 1, 24 hours, sort of a day of spending abstinence. Here is the leader of this nationwide effort.
For one day, we turn it off. For one day, we shut it down. For one day, we remind them that this country does not belong to the elite. It belongs to the people. And this will work. I know some of you might say one day won't make a difference, and that is exactly what they want you to believe. But trust me, a 24-hour blackout is just the first step. It's a test.
This is everything. This is saying don't spend $1 for 24 hours, starting at midnight, going through midnight tomorrow. I think if you think about it, it feels very doable, right? Like, do I need to spend any money on any given day? And then you think like, well, what if I have to fill up my gas tank? Or what if I click on this thing and buy this deal online? And what if $0, spend nothing? Will it matter? It's an interesting question. Retail analysts say the market share is just so big that you can't afford to have your slices get smaller. So retailers would feel a pinch if you took one day and spent nothing. The reality is, and I like what this marketing professor at Northwestern University said, is that you do have powers. You do have the ability to say, you know what, I don't need this. A friend of mine is trying this year to buy no new clothes, to reuse what she has in her closet, and if she buys anything, to have it be thrifted. And I think it is, look, I love capitalism. We rely on people spending money to keep this radio station on the air, right? So I don't think capitalism in and of itself is a bad thing. I think it's a great thing, actually. But I do think that some of the main principles of the way our economy is supposed to work are broken. That we see too much wealth at the top and not enough, at least in the middle, you know? So to show your voice in one single day, it'll be interesting. Let me know if you plan on doing it or not. Second story in the lead is the absolute foolishness of the Minneapolis City Council as it pertains to George Floyd Square. You've heard in the news here on CCO all day that the City Council vetoed the mayor's veto. They overrode his veto of a plan not to do anything, a plan to study what to do again. 9-4. The majority of the Minneapolis City Council would like to turn George Floyd Square into a pedestrian mall. The people who live in this neighborhood, the businesses who try to make a go of it at that intersection, have been victimized enough by inaction, by activists taking over this area such that in many cases they were saying they didn't want police to come to intervene. Enough time has passed. Enough studying has been done. If you want to build a pedestrian mall, first of all, you have to override state law. You have to get a majority of the businesses in that area to say, okay, you can shut down the road in front of us. That is a state law right now. Instead, what we're going to do is spend another year putzing around, leaving this intersection in flux, abandoning part of this city, and frankly, leaving another monument to failure up. The fact that the Minneapolis 3rd Precinct is still standing, still has boards up over its window, is an embarrassment. The fact that the area where George Floyd was killed has not been turned into either a functional street again, some sort of memorial. Figure it out. Personally, I think turning this into a street design, a street that could be closed for public, like any street can be closed for a public commemoration. But enough is enough. And this is politics. This is certain members of the city council that are running for mayor. Emily Koski is running for mayor. There is no way that she could vote with the current mayor. So she votes against it. It's pure politics. And to me, I line up with what the mayor is saying here. This is a betrayal of the community's wishes and a colossal waste of time and money. What else is new from this group at City Hall? There is some hope, though, in our third story in the lead. And normally I wouldn't be saying, fantastic, a new tax, what a great idea. But spending more money on tourism for the city of Minneapolis, I think, is a great idea. And taxing hotel stays by 2%, to me, is a no-brainer. A 2% room fee at hotels could generate $6 to $7 million a year. Already, some of our suburbs do that. Now, when you compare Minneapolis to Kansas City, Columbus, and Milwaukee, the lodging tax rate in Minneapolis is 15.025%. It's among the lowest when you compare to those cities. So a 2% bump would put Minneapolis closer to the middle of the pack. Now, having this fee means new programs. So you can't just like take that money and dump it to meet Minneapolis, and there already is a tourism effort there. But we don't market in Chicago, which to me, as someone who grew up in Chicago, like having a summer vacation destination in Minneapolis seems like a no-brainer. It's an easy drive. Hiring new event planners seems like a good idea too, because we know that events and activity is what gets people downtown. We don't have shopping, really. We don't have, we have interesting restaurants, I think, but like you have interesting restaurants wherever you live in this state. So having activities and events, that makes sense too. 73% of hotels that took part in a petition drive said they approved. It needed 51%. Some of the hotels say they want some of these money to go to workforce development too, which I think is a heck of an idea. Training programs, ways to get more people in hospitality. Very, very smart. Illinois has this. Minneapolis thinks of Chicago as a close competitor in the tourism market. I would say, are people in Columbus, Ohio thinking like maybe we'll go to Chicago, or what if we go to Minneapolis? I'm not sure. I love Minneapolis. I love Minnesota. Is Chicago I mean, I will say this about the way we market Minneapolis. I do think that we're a little too pie in the sky, and we dream of getting tourists to come from all over America to here. I think we need to work a little harder on getting people from around the region to come here. What are we doing to get people from Columbia Heights and Maple Grove and Elk River and Shakopee to come here? To me, that would make more sense. But I like the action. I like the action. That's the lead of the DeRusha Hour News headlines. Lots more on page 2, including news from Elon Musk and the Doge operation of a bunch of federal buildings in Minnesota that they want to sell. We're talking about locations, 2 spots in Minneapolis, federal buildings all over, including a courthouse and a jail. So we'll talk about that coming up.
More Drive Time with DeRusha is on the way following these messages on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Spring cleanup is just around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that spring break trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros with the highest quality workmanship and materials. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros, AdvantageHomePros.com.
I'm Karen Heinz with Baird Private Wealth Management. For many of us, life is busy. Balancing family, career, friends, and community, plus finding the time and focus to keep your family's financial plan on track can be a challenge. At Baird, we understand. Our advisors partner with you to create a financial plan that's uniquely yours, one that gives you peace of mind and confidence so you can focus on what matters most. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdTwinCities.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-380-9012. 800-380-9012. Again, that's 800-380-9012.
Imagine placing an investment or trade without fear. Knowing that big institutions have taken the same trade as you, pushing the price higher, which only they can do. You get to ride the wave of institutional demand. If not, your plan will protect you from the downside. This is how our students are taught to invest in trade. Right now, you can sign up for a free investing class where we'll outline our strategy for following the smart money. Text investing to 210-210. We'll also review strategies for growing a retirement portfolio, how professionals profit when stocks are falling, and how to protect your investments against inflation. With a 25-year history, local classrooms, and one-on-one support, you're not alone. And now it's your turn. Sign up for a free investing class today. Text investing to 210-210 or go to learnwithota.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Drive Time with DeRusha. Now video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Just search WCCO Radio. We're right there on YouTube, bringing you the DeRusha Hour. News headlines. In just 10 minutes, we get to enough. So get ready to fire off what you've had enough of. If you want to use the Odyssey app under the WCCO, go to WCCO and click on the voice microphone. And you can just send me a message. Boom. You don't have to wait on hold or anything like that. What have you had enough of? Maybe it's teases to the next segment after the producer played the theme to this one. Maybe that really bothers you. I don't know. Enough coming up in just a couple minutes. I'll tell you, I think a lot of communities are going to have enough of this. News breaking this afternoon that Elon Musk, the Doge team, the federal government is looking to sell some historic buildings it owns in Minnesota. And the question is, who wants to buy these? Like, do you want to buy the Edward J. Devitt U.S. Courthouse in Fergus Falls? That is on a list of non-core assets that the government is looking to sell. What is in the U.S. Courthouse in Fergus Falls? The local law enforcement center, the county jail, several courtrooms, judicial offices, and meeting spaces. They're looking to get rid of some leases, too. The Indian Health Service office in Bemidji is listed on the Doge website. Doge's website says the government could save $178,554 by terminating that lease. In Minneapolis, the Minnesota Star Tribune reporting, the Wellstone Federal Building. So remember, I think it was just 2 years ago, it was named after Paul Wellstone. It's on Washington, right in downtown. And then the Whipple Federal Building, which is that it's near Fort Snelling, near the airport. That is on the list. So inside Wellstone, there's a passport office for the State Department, Housing and Urban Development, and the National Labor Relations Board. All have offices in there. But, like, what are you going to do? If you look at, I mean, in defense of Doge, they were looking at places, which, by the way, ouch, like that, I just said it. I actually, like, I'm not as I wish Doge was operating with a little more empathy in their operation, but everybody says they want to cut the government. Every administration, Democrat, not. But nobody does it. Republicans don't do it. Democrats don't do it. And so maybe they're really going to do it. Now, they are going to find that they're going to sell these buildings and get nothing, because who wants to buy the Whipple Federal Building? You're going to have a massive office complex out by the airport. Right now, it houses employees for the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. The last time it was renovated was 11 years ago. That is not exactly Class A prime office space. So, I don't know. Amazing story in the New York Times about a college professor diagnosed with terminal cancer who, instead of going home, decided to teach a class about it.
Having gone through this as a patient, but also being a physician, I have one foot in both worlds. So I felt like when I was a student, I would have loved to hear an experience from somebody like me. And I think this is something I hadn't seen shared widely before, so I wanted to share that unique perspective.
That is Dr. Bryant Lynn, and he is dying. Like, imminent. He stood before his class at Stanford, knowing that this was likely one of the last classes he would ever teach. He's 50 years old. He's a non-smoker, but he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. It is terminal. He estimated he had about 2 years before the drug he was taking stopped working. So he's like, I have a 10-week medical school course from diagnosis to dialogue, a doctor's real-time battle with cancer. Registration for the class filled up almost immediately. The room was overflowing. Students forced to sit on the floor. Others turned away entirely. Class met for about an hour each Wednesday. He led a session on having difficult conversations where he stressed that doctors should be honest enough to say, I don't know, when necessary. An answer he had to accept as a patient amid the uncertainties of his own diagnosis. In one other class, he talked about how spirituality and religion help some patients cope with cancer. He said he's not religious, but he shared he found comfort in others offering to pray or chant or light a candle on his behalf. Man, you think about our future medical professionals and what an incredible opportunity to learn from a professor like this, and what a gift, right? Where you think, like, if you know, I don't know, it's that thing so many of us wonder about. If you knew you only had so much time left, how would you spend it? And there's a pretty powerful way to spend it. Target is starting to remind me of those old school stores where they had all these different areas and all these different sort of things. It was sort of like a department store. Like, I don't know, kind of like Dayton's maybe?
This is cellulose acetate, a plant-based material that's not only extremely durable, but also quite flexible, making it ideal for Warby Parker glasses.
Now, I've bought Warby Parker glasses. So has Dan. Part of what made Warby Parker cool, the price is great, the style is great, and the fact they were an online retailer of a thing that it was normally gate kept, right? Like you had to go to the eye doctor to get the eyeglasses. Now they're going into Target. Does it make Warby Parker more cool or less cool? That they're in, I think it's more cool. It's like they grew up. They're at the big kids table. Minneapolis St. Paul Business Journal reported that Target announced that they're going to have Warby Parkers in a bunch of stores this year, including in Bloomington, Minnesota. It's like 5 stores this year, and they'll add more in 2026. Now, if your Target already has a Target optical, no, it's not going in there. So there are 6 of these standalone stores in the Twin Cities. They'll sell prescription eyeglasses, sunglasses, and contact lenses, as well as offer eye exams. Prices start at $95. And Target has done this. They have like little Apple mini stores in some of them, Disney, Ulta Beauty. I think all the Targets have Ultas in there? I think so. And even Levi's have like a little store within the store. That is the DeRusha Hour news headline. By the way, I read today that Target, Dan, is coming back downtown next week. And that is going to be related to one of my enoughs.
It's going to be like for 3 whole days, right?
Oh, baby.
Oh, wow. The economic impact.
You can
look out.
You're giving away what I'm going to be annoyed about. What are you annoyed about? What have you had enough of? 651-461-9226. Love to have your phone calls. Love to have your texts. And we especially would love if you would send us a voice message on the Odyssey app. Just click on the Odyssey app where you can listen live to us in the car, on the road, when you're a snowbird, whatever. Next to where you listen live, there's a microphone button. You click the button and then boom, record a voice message. It comes right to us in the studio.
Jason DeRusha and DriveTime needs to make a brief pit stop on News Talk 830 WCCO. Some things in life just aren't reliable, like the check engine light that only comes on after you've broken down. That motion sensor faucet in the airport bathroom.
When was this building built? The 40s?
Like that buddy who swears he'll help you move, but on the day of... Trust isn't given, it's earned. For over 100 years, when it's mattered most, Minnesotans come here. News Talk 830 WCCO.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
So today we have Albert from UCare to help decomplicate Medicare plans for people who are just starting to learn about it. Tell me a little bit about Original Medicare and Medicare supplement plans.
Original Medicare is designed to cover about 80% of your overall medical expenditures. And then you have your Medicare supplement plans. They're designed to help cover the other 20% that Medicare leaves off. Most other costs are covered under your supplement plan. They do offer a nationwide coverage as well. They will be accepted anywhere that Original Medicare is accepted. Medicare supplement plans will provide a level of predictability instead of thinking about co-pays and constant costs. You pay your monthly premium one time a month and your medical costs are mostly covered.
So why should someone go with UCare?
So UCare does have competitive rates. Some of the lowest rates statewide that you can find, no cost fitness options and hearing aid discounts, and a large dedicated broker network that's willing to take all the time needed to help you find the right plan to secure your long-term health goals.
For more, contact a local broker and visit ucare.org.
You know, we've all gotten unsolicited cash offers for our homes. I get it. It can make moving less stressful. But if you go that route, there's a good chance you'll be leaving money on the table. Hey, it's Vanita. If you're thinking of selling and don't want the stress, call my buddy, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group Coldwell Banker Realty. Corinne just worked with John to sell a loved one's home. She wanted the convenience and she got it. John helped her. His marketing system helped get multiple offers for Corinne's home. All the attention led to her home selling for $30,000 over the asking. $75,000 more than that below market investor cash offer she originally got. Contact John for full details, 952-222-9000, online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving, johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit. Credit for deciding while stuck in traffic to get a bachelor's degree. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. Students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's. And graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. Flexible online and hybrid classes start March 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Going to find the ramp still closed as the cleanup continues. An earlier crash, 494 westbound to South 35W ramp is closed till further notice. We'll obviously continue to keep an eye on that. South 35W at 494, all lanes are opened up in that stretch, so things are looking much better there. Traveling 94 westbound into downtown Minneapolis, get ready for the slowdowns. Riverside into the Lowry Hill Tunnel. 694 eastbound on the heavy side of things is moving from Highway 252 all the way out toward Victoria. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Gutman Law, wills, trust, and probate law, gutmanlaw.com. Bring us the weather forecast. Here's Chris Schaefer.
It stays breezy tonight, partly cloudy down to 37. Tomorrow, a wind advisory. Starts up at 9 in the morning, goes till 6 in the evening. It'll be mostly cloudy. I think we hit that high of 47 just after lunchtime. Cold front comes through and the temperatures drop like a rock. Northwest wind 15 to 25, could be gusting up to 50 miles per hour at times. Batten down the hatches. That wind will settle down on Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 32, back to the 40s on Sunday.
45 in Osseo right now on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Sometimes I feel like a completely different species than everybody who thinks that that might be fun.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I have had enough. Enough is enough.
Enough! It is time for our weekly moment for you to get it off your chest. What are you fed up with? What have you had enough of? We welcome your voice messages through the Odyssey app. You can call or text at 651-461-9226. And our first enough participant is Adam in Robbinsdale. Adam, go ahead. What have you had enough of?
Typically hypocrites that say they're not going to go downtown for two reasons. One, I have a relative that won't go downtown because he's mad that he has to go into work once a month downtown.
Boo-hoo.
And the other ones are because of safety. But yet, I was at Grays this last weekend before going to Shane Gillis, who has kind of a bro type thing.
Yep.
And I ran into three people that said they were never going to go downtown. I'm sick of the hypocrisy. And that one family member said, I won't go downtown. I won't eat at the restaurants, specifically even for like a birthday. He wouldn't come down there because he didn't want to, give Jacob Fry his stuff. But Metallica play right downtown. Hypocrites. I am sick of the hypocrisy of these people from outstate, even the suburbs, that say they're not going downtown. Yeah. Oh, I refuse to go downtown. It's fine. You're down there more than I am, but I'm in the North Loop more than anywhere, and that's a little different area than but you go to Tom's Watch Bar, packed all the time.
Packed.
Packed all the
people
time.
were lined up around the street to go to the new Rabbit Hole Sports Bar in the North Loop this last weekend.
And
it's crazy. I get comment.
You saw the bros that were down there. It's
good.
It was a very bro-y crowd.
Maybe Meet Minneapolis thinks that a strategy to make downtown great would be to be the women's sports leader. What if we were like the bro podcast leader? Get the Shane Gillis, get all of these guys, come downtown and perform. And then we'll it's the old bait and switch. And we get all of the I'm never coming downtown to come downtown.
I'll say the women's sports because I went to the Big Ten tournament last year.
Packed?
It was just packed. And it was, Caitlin Clark had a lot to do with it. There's no doubt
Adam,
about it.
just a side question for you. You're not being blinded by the bright light of the Robbinsdale Water Tower, are you?
Oh, I'm not quite. I'm on I'm right next to North, so I can't quite see it. But if you look out in my backyard from our tiki bar, you do see kind of spotlight going on. I mean, you do see it, so it doesn't bother us. But my gosh, it is bright.
It's pretty bright. Thanks, Adam. Always love when Adam calls. Howard in Minneapolis, you're up next. What have you had enough of?
Republicans claiming to be the law and order party.
Oh, why is that?
Trump's a convicted felon.
Wow.
Who refuses to follow the Constitution.
That was a scam. That felon was, that was a politically obsessed district attorney after him.
We're going to have a Watergate 2.0.
I mean, that felon doesn't count. It's law and order for certain felonies against people who aren't named Trump.
So we call the immigrants illegals and aliens when actually being here undocumented is a civil offense.
No, it's true.
So
still not good. Still not good, but yeah. It is. Does hypocrisy bother you with politicians, or do you we're all sort of guilty of it, right? None of us are really all that consistent.
It's just we take an oath to defend the U.S. Constitution from enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
And what he's doing to our Constitution right now is so unlawful. I am thankful that we have A.G. Ellison and other U.S. attorneys because our courts are our only guardrail for our democracy right now.
Howard, thank you. Good call. 651-461-9226. We have a voice message sent in through the Odyssey app. A great way to get in touch with us. If you ever see something that gets you mad, you say, enough. You go to the Odyssey app, you click the microphone, and you send a message just like this.
Hey, Jason, that's Mark from Edina. And I have had enough of people driving 20 miles an hour over the speed limit on 494 and cutting in and out of traffic. It happens every day. I see it when I go to work. I see it when I come home. It's getting old, and I actually saw a really serious accident last week. So that's what I've had enough of.
I get it.
Thank you.
I get it. Now on X, formerly known as Twitter, Alex Bizarre says he's had enough of drivers who think they need to keep a certain distance at all costs. They'll mash their brakes to sustain their 9-car distance for safety while simultaneously causing a 9-car pileup behind them.
And usually that's happening in the left lane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
Now, I like to drive. Do you ever just drive the speed limit in the left lane just to drive everybody crazy?
No, not
that's
unless I'm
just-
getting tailgated. And because I usually, if I'm in the left lane, I'm trying to pass people. I'm not just trying to.
You don't
roll
just
over.
hang out.
Not generally.
Yeah.
So
I was going.
if I'm getting tailgated in addition to that, then I might slow down a little bit.
I was going 70 today in a 70, and the person behind me was interested in going 90.
Yes.
So I get out of the way.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
That's the thing to do.
I was mad
If you
about
can
it.
get out of the way.
I was mad about it, though.
Have some choice words for him. That's fine. But get out of the way and just, don't make it a bigger problem than it needs to be.
Dana, I have had enough of the media making a big deal when Target comes downtown for 2 seconds.
Target's back. Target's back.
I read the first headline today that Target will be back in downtown Minneapolis for whatever.
Yeah, but you knew what that was.
What?
Well, you knew it was going to be. You knew it wasn't like Target's calling all their employees
Oh,
back.
yeah,
you knew
yeah,
that
no.
wasn't. Couldn't possibly
No.
be what it was.
Here, I mean, I get it. It's the business journal, like you're reporting on business.
Yeah,
Fine.
that's what they do.
Still, though, Target workers return to downtown Minneapolis March 3 through 6. Crowds of Target employees will buzz through downtown Minneapolis starting Monday as part of one of the retailer's core weeks.
Come on.
Much of Target's white-collar workforce remains on a flex for your day approach, which everyone flexes to sit on their butt at home.
No.
But then the core weeks. Oh, so exciting. Now, last year, they had 4 core weeks.
1 a quarter. That makes sense.
This year, Target is saying, you know what? We're going to do something to help the downtown businesses that have missed us. They're coming back for 5 weeks, everybody.
Does Mayor Fry have to cut a ribbon or something? Is there part of this?
You know it's going to be like, it will be the lead story of some TV station next week.
Some? Several.
Ugh.
Several.
Sick of it. 651-461-9226. Dan, have you had enough?
Let me tell you what I've had enough of. Now, you and I in this business are guilty of using news aggregators at times, right?
Sure.
Sometimes news aggregators are great and they're helpful, and sometimes not so much. One of the ways in which they're not so much has to do with, of course, my favorite hobby, which is astronomy.
Yep.
Because the number of people that are writing about this planetary alignment, and in addition to plenty of other astronomical topics, that literally have no clue what they're talking about is astonishing, is absolutely astonishing. First of all, this event is rare contextually. It happens every few years.
Okay.
It's not like once in a lifetime opportunity, but you'll see a bunch of articles out there that make it sound that way.
Says rare, which makes me think, what
Little
is
bit
the
more-
cutoff for rare?
In astronomical terms, it's
no,
it's-
like in normal human terms.
Well, I mean, I
Like
don't
you're
know.
writing for normal
because
human.
rare is contextual, depending on what you're talking about.
No,
Sure it is.
if there's a newspaper headline that says there's a rare event in the sky, I assume rare in the context of my life. So if I'm going to be around for 100 years,
rare has to be once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime.
So why wouldn't you just say once in a lifetime instead of rare?
I would think. So to me, if I see the word rare being used, not in relation to meat temperature, I'm thinking like it's got to be at least 7 years before you're going to see it again.
Okay.
I think that's pretty rare. Once in 7 years is
Sure.
rare.
Sure. I can go with that.
I could see where you would say rare is once in a lifetime.
Yeah, well, especially again on astronomical terms. I
Yeah.
think, like that comet that came through back in the fall. That's rare because we're not going to ever see that particular comet again not in our lifetimes, right? So,
but it's a lot of ding dongs writing about this thing.
It's ding dongs because they're just not even checking. They're going to some website, they're grabbing a thing, they're grabbing a graphic, they're slapping it up. They're not doing any kind of research. We can't have space writers anymore because that just costs way too much money. People who actually know what they're talking about. I saw an article today, I kid you not, that said that this planetary alignment was rare because all the planets were lined up in distance from the Earth. And they had a graphic on there which showed anything but that. You could look right to left, left to right, up to down, down to up. They're not in that order in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But this article is all about, this is super rare. Only happens once every gajillion years because they're in order from. No, they're not. No, and the graphic on your story shows they're not.
What I love.
Take 2 seconds to check this stuff out. Give me a break.
What I love about this is that I have no idea what you're talking about. But you're so fired up about it.
I'm so mad.
I love it.
I'm so mad that people don't take 5 minutes on these news aggregators to maybe double check that whatever source they're pulling from.
When you say news
aggregator,
what are we talking about? It's like just
there's any number of them out there. I mean, but FARC is one that I go to quite often. Just stuff that collects news, scrapes news from other places. What's worse is then you'll have a lot of websites that will go grab other people's news stories
and
present them as their own, but they don't even bother to check that. They don't even bother to check like there's actually halfway decent sources out there. By the way, go outside right after sunset. Look to the west. The big bright dot in the sky is Venus. You'll see Saturn and Mercury right below it. Swing around to the east. There's Jupiter and Mars.
Yeah. I don't even
and
know
if you have a telescope,
why I entertain
you can
this.
see Neptune and Uranus.
Should I start playing the Lost in Space music again? Some of you have had enough about things that involve, your enough is ripping on me, which is enough to make sure you stay tuned. 651-461-9226. More when we come back.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Best Livia deal of the year. I just want to lead with that and let you know right off the bat that we are talking about serious savings at Livia.com. It's Jason here from my friends at Livia. I lost 45 pounds with Livia, and I was just in the Coon Rapids office yesterday after a week where Dan and I were at spring training. And, Dan knows how I travel. It's, I like to sample the local scene, the local cuisine. I didn't gain a single pound on vacation because Livia's taught me not just how to lose the weight, they taught me how to keep it off. 45 pounds down, I hit my goal 2 years and 2 months ago. And to the 10th of a pound, I'm on the same spot today. Livia has helped 40,000 people over the last 15 years, and to celebrate, they're giving you 50% off. 50% off their award-winning nutrition program. Get to Livia.com or call 855-GO-LIVIA today. Take advantage of that 50% off. You could lose 20-plus pounds by spring. They've got the most competitive GLP-1 medication pricing, too. They got the B12, the Lipo B12. They got all of the things. They'll design it just for you. Whatever your weight loss need is, Livia is there for you like they were there for me. Livia.com, Livea.com, or call 855-GO-LIVIA today.
Hey, Twins fans, it's time for spring training in Fort Myers. Cheer on your favorite team at Hammond Stadium within the Lee Health Sports Complex. Then explore the islands, beaches, and neighborhoods of Fort Myers between games. Sink your toes into white sand, discover lush nature preserves filled with wildlife, and dine on fresh Gulf seafood. Turning your love of baseball into a relaxing vacation just feels right. Start planning at visitfortmyers.com.
Hey, it's Benita. The Good Feet store has made such a huge difference in my life. I went into the Good Feet store and tried their arch support system. I could feel the difference immediately. It helped with some of the foot pain I was having and hip pain. I'm an active person. I like to be on the go. I don't want foot pain stopping me at all. The Good Feet store really does make a difference. I used to have pain in my feet, not anymore. Check out The Good Feet Store.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-253-6259. 800-253-6259. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-253-6259.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Slow down this place, 94 westbound, making way between Hemlock Lane and Weaver Lake Road. If you're over on the East Metro, you'll find some minor slowing as you make way through downtown St. Paul between Marion and Mounds Boulevard. Highway 36 eastbound, some congestion around Lexington. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, it is going to be windy tomorrow. High of 47, but the wind will be blowing 15 to 25, gusting to 50. Saturday high is just 32, but then back to the 40s on Sunday. Right now, it is 46 on CCO.
Jason DeRusha.
Someone says, this guy has no idea how cringe he is. And I would just like to say, I'm well aware. I am extremely cringe. I get it. I don't care.
On News Talk 830, WCCO.
Enough! What I'm saying is, if you look to the west, there's Venus, and then Saturn below that, and then Mercury below. That's not in order. That's not in order.
A texter says that Dan should take a minute or two and tell us a little bit more, maybe a little bit slower.
I'd be happy to. So,
I think we're good.
You sure?
Another texter says Dan is right about context when we use the term rare. If I said Jason is rarely humble, it could still happen once a week.
Well,
I mean, Bonnie from Anoka, I've had enough of drug commercials. Well, so I feel that because it's a little like it's 7 seconds of commercial and 50 seconds of how you might get like a rupture of your buttocks.
Here's how it might kill you.
Yeah.
In very rare cases, though.
I get it. But, like, who else is advertising on the evening news? Like, you got to, to a certain degree, somebody's keeping the news on the air, right? We don't get too many of those drug ads on this station. Now, Jeff in St. Francis has had enough of me and every other person in the media saying X, formerly known as Twitter. Come on, get over it already. It's just X. No more formerly known as Twitter. Enough.
You got to do formerly known as Twitter because most people don't know what X even is.
Plus, if you just say X, it sounds like, to me, when I hear X, first, I think Mark's the spot. Second, I think
your mind goes in the gutter.
Nudie movie.
There you go.
Do they still rate things X? Is there still a rated X?
I have no idea.
No, I think it's like NC-17 now, right? Is there an X after that? I don't know. Like you watch, honestly, we should bring back the X because you're watching streaming movies. And maybe this is how women have always felt, but I don't need to see some guys like, you know, I don't want to see that. Just trying to watch a show. Then somebody gets his elephant trunk out, and you're like, what on earth? What is happening? Enough! We'll see you tomorrow. Henry's next.
Hi, this is Adam Saba, third generation at Dodger Burn.